at Nations. I'm going to ask you this. What's your favorite lunch?
I'm pretty split. I guess I'm kind of like a pitcher who has two favorite pitches they like leaning on. I'd say half the time I do the hamburger, and half the time I do the wild salmon burger. It really depends on which protein you want. We love our beef supplier in Northern California. We've been with them for decades. We test our beef all the time. We sell ocean caught wild salmon. Friends don't let friends eat farm salmon. It's absolutely delicious. To mix it up, I guess it's like a pitcher who has a two-seamer and a four-seamer, or maybe a four-seamer and a cutter. I actually go grilled onions on my hamburger half the time and raw onions the other half. Today at lunch, I got the French fries, but half the time I get the onion rings, and I had a wonderful slice of pecan pie. There's something for everybody, whether you like hot dogs or grilled cheese. It's really up to the individual what mood they're in, but my go-to is either the beef with the hamburger or the wild salmon, which is absolutely delicious.
Wow, I love it. Grant Power, President, CEO of Nations. Grant, thanks so much.
Pleasure being on.
Seam heads. Our Giants game day coverage begins now.
It's the mosaic.
So before gloves start popping,
diving, he makes the catch,
and bats start cracking,
it is gone.
We bring you the voice of Bay Area baseball for the past 29 years.
As I always say, baseball reflects what life is all about.
This is Talkin' Baseball with Marty Laurie.
That's what we do. We talk ball.
On KNBR, the sports leader.
All right, great to be with you on this Sunday afternoon as we wrap up the July 4th weekend with baseball. It is a baseball time. I feel it. It's in the air. And the Giants play Game 3 with the former Oakland Athletics up in West Sacramento as they wrap up this series with the A's that is right now split 1-1. The A's win it on Friday night, and the A's can play. They've got some hitters. This Nick Kurtz can play. Jacob Wilson can play. Butler is a heck of a player. And the Giants have their hands full. And on Friday night, they got beat by the A's. And then last night, what a pleasure to see Logan Webb come back last night, of course, from Rockland, has spent time up in that ballpark as a kid watching games. And he went out there last night, and he was masterful. He really was. He's such a good pitcher and got that double play ball when he needed it. And the Giants cruised to a nice 7-2 win last night. Willie Adames, and I got to see him. I saw all the games down here in Arizona. And he's getting his pitch now, and he's not missing it. And this is a very pleasant surprise for the Giants because it's like getting a new player. And he drove in 4 last night with two-out singles to drive in 4 runs, which made it a big deal. Ramos had a home run. Wisely had a nice hit, a big double that drove in a couple. And the Giants cruised behind Logan Webb and that bullpen to a 7-2 win last night. Well, the big news of today, other than the fact that it is Sunday and we love Sunday baseball, that the All-Star team has been named for the National League. And for the first time in a few years, the Giants have 3. And Logan Webb, as I just talked about, is going to be an All-Star. And I think he's a third of an inning behind Zach Wheeler, who went 9 today. Boy, Zach Wheeler, 9 innings, 1 hit, a home run. Phillies won 3-1. Phillies are coming in tomorrow to Oracle. But Logan Webb is leading the league in strikeouts. And as I said, the innings pitched, he's right there. And he's really, really had a great, great beginning of this season. And Robbie Ray goes with him. And Robbie Ray, I got to see him pitch on Thursday, a complete game against Arizona, and completely dominated them, and he's done it just about every start. Robbie Ray could almost be 12 or 13-1 right now, and he's going to be an all-star for the first time in many years for him. Then the one who really deserves it is Rodriguez. Randy Rodriguez is going to be an all-star. And let me tell you, he has bailed the Giants out all year long. And this pitching staff has enabled the Giants to be in the midst of, well, the division race. The Dodgers are up by 8, so we're not going to worry about that. But in this wild card race, the Giants are right in the middle of it, and I'll tell you, they're going to get in. I've always said that. And they could be 4th, 5th, or 6th. And it is because of their pitching. And Rodriguez has been a major part of it. He is the guy that Bob Melvin goes to when he needs somebody to end that rally in the 5th inning, 6th inning, 7th inning. I don't care where it is. You want Rodriguez coming in with an 0.71 earned run average. He is an all-star. And in the whole Giants history, he's the first non-starter, I guess, call him that, in Giants history to be named to the all-star team. No Wilmer Flores today. As an all-star, I mean, and that's unfortunate for him because he's had a great season as well. So that's the big news today. Of course, we have our contest going, our Original Joe's contest. Guess the score of the game, tweet it in at Baseball Marty or call RAF 808-KMBR. And you can win dinner for 2 at the Original Joe's in Westlake, North Beach, West Portal. And we pick a second winner because the new Original Joe's in Walnut Creek is going to be opening soon. And then, of course, we have a random winner for dinner at Soto Mare in North Beach, so we do that as well. Well, pitching matchup today, it's Hayden Birdsong, and I saw him down in Arizona. Did not have a good game down there. His defense let him down, and Bailey had a real rough game. But Birdsong threw about 10 balls in a row, and then he grooved one, and that was the end of his night. He's 3-3 with a 430 earned run average. The whip is 140. Giants need him. They need him big time. And his last 5, he's 0-2 with a 754 earned run average. They face a lefty. You know, they're 8-15 against lefties. It's Jacob Lopez. He's a former Giants draftee from Grand Canyon College down here in Arizona. They got him from Tampa Bay for McCarthy. Joe McCarthy, he went to Tampa Bay for Joe McCarthy. Then from Tampa Bay, he ended up with the A's. But he is a lefty, Jacob Lopez. He's pitched really well in his last 5 starts. The A's have won all of them. And he's 2-4 with a 388 earned run average and a 134 whip. So a lot going on today. The Giants have won 4 of 5 against the A's. And these games are very important. And it's nice to have you with us if you're driving back from Tahoe or ending your holiday weekend. Boy, you got a lot of baseball coming your way. I used to really enjoy those post-game shows on July 4th or the end of the weekend because people would be driving home and we would take them right through the grapevine, right back up to San Francisco and KMBR. All right, so that's the story for today. It is Hayden Birdsong on the hill, Jacob Lopez. Giants have 3 All-Stars. A good game last night for Logan Webb, and a lot of excitement around the ballpark. This is baseball time right now, and we've got Mark Simon of Sports Info Solutions next, right here on the Sports Leader.
Marty Lurie on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the Sports Leader.
Fans, I heard from Gene Bagato up in Bodega Bay, and he said his entire staff is geared up and ready to welcome summer travelers looking to escape the heat. And you know what I'm talking about. Down at the Wharf, a varied menu offering everything from juicy hamburgers to the highest quality seafood. All those dishes await you. Hungry for a great meal? Check it out. For people looking to enjoy the relaxing Sonoma coast, the gift shop and fish market has everything one needs for a visit to the beach, from towels and swimwear to picnic items and beverages. It reminds me of growing up in Miami Beach. That's what it was like. And if you're looking to stay a while, the fabulous Inn at the Tides with its spacious rooms and stunning views awaits with its heated swimming pool and hot tub spa, as well as the Bayview dining room featuring the great creations of Chef Remy Madrid. So if you're interested in a fantastic getaway, not far from the Bay Area, you don't have to look any further than the Tides Wharf and the Inn at the Tides in scenic Bodega Bay.
Everyone likes a party, but everyone loves a party at Original Joe's. With 3 private dining rooms, it's the perfect spot to hold your next big event. From christenings to corporate gatherings, we'll make your next party San Francisco special. Original Joe's, see you at the counter.
Mark Simon. Mark, I love you, man.
All right, nobody breaks the game down better than Mark Simon of Sports Info Solutions, as he's a big Met fan, so we give him the big Met cheer coming in. Mark, how are you today?
I'm good. It'd be funny if we switched up the music to the commercial that you played right before. It was Original Joe's with the piano, and did it that way, just to throw people off a little bit.
All right. All right. Next week, Raph, did you hear that? You can be the new producer. We'll let you do that. Well, first of all, the Giants got 3 all-star pitchers. How about that? Webb and Rodriguez, of course, and Robbie Ray. Let me get your thoughts on those 3 as we start.
Well, I thought the Webb and Ray were no-brainers. They've been fantastic all season. I don't think it would have been problematic if you didn't pick those guys. Ray's gotten better as the year's gone on. Logan's been consistent the whole year and has the best strikeout walk home run combo in the sport. And Robbie Ray has proven to be worth what the Giants had to give up for him. He has been very, very good. I was pleasantly surprised that Randy Rodriguez made it. I was looking at that this morning, and I was thinking about what middle relievers would have a shot, and I see that the National League took 2 of them because they took him and they took Jason Adams in San Diego, who's been very, very good as well. And I think it was deserving. He's had a little hiccup, I feel like, Rodriguez, since he got put into these more high-pressure kind of situations. Like they even, he tried to close once or twice. But he's been so much better this year. Fastball, slider have just been dominant. And I thought that was a good choice to include both those guys that I said.
Yeah, first time in Giants history that they've had an all-star who was not a starting pitcher. In other words, someone out of the bullpen. So good for him. And I will say this, when Bob Melvin needs to shut down an inning, and, we always say that save can come at any part of the game, he's the guy they need. And he's a big part of why they're in this position now in this wild card race. Well, today, and I saw Hayden Birdsong pitch this week in Arizona. He goes today against Jacob Lopez, a left-hander who's a former Giant farmhand. But, Mark, I must tell you, Birdsong, second inning, he's fabulous, and all of a sudden he loses it, and he threw, I think, 10 or 12 balls in a row, then gave up a big home run, and that was the end of his night. So what do we expect from him, and what's going on with him?
Yeah, so since he became a starting pitcher, fastball's been great, but slider's been very hittable. Curveball's been hittable. Changeup's been hittable. It's funny because you remember when Jordan Hicks, when they made the switch, and I remember saying that this was something that they needed to do. Well, the ERA is 5.54, so maybe I wasn't right. He needs to throw strikes. Like, he wasn't throwing his fastball for a strike the last time out. That was a problem. That's 2 starts in a row that he wasn't throwing the fastball for a strike. So I would watch for that. And, yeah, I would put that as a point of emphasis. Fastballs for strikes, and got to be better with his secondary pitches, got to be better with his slider. I'll give you a couple of tidbits on him that I thought were interesting. First batter of the game, 9 for 19, 2 doubles, 2 triples, 2 homers. So he's got to be really careful there. First pitch of an at-bat, second best in baseball, though. 4 for 27 when they hit the first pitch of an at-bat. And then first time through the order, he has been really, really good. As you were just talking about, he's been one of the better pitchers in baseball. 152 opponent's batting average first time through the order. So watch, to sum it all up, watch the fastball command, watch the slider, watch the beginning of the game, beginning of at-bats, and the beginning of innings, because we need to see what he's got.
Yeah, the other thing with him, he is a little bit of a high ball pitcher. And this, I can't tell this Park. I really can't tell. Is it a, is it a hitter's park? Is it a bandbox? Is it a spring training facility? I can't tell yet. But I will tell you this: if he throws the ball up and he doesn't get it high enough, they're going to take it out. And I think that's the thing that I would watch out for him today.
Or hit
he
doubles
starts
off
off.
the wall because they've been hitting doubles.
Yeah, they hit like 6 or 7 on Friday night, and they had a few last night as well. As just to follow up on what you said, 201 as a starter for the first time through, 275 the second time through. Then it's 429. So he's got to keep it together, because I do want to touch on Verlander just for a second with you. Again, I saw him throw as well. And the stuff is, he's trying his hardest to do it, but the stuff is rolling a little bit, and it just doesn't quite have that put-away stuff.
Yeah, I think it was FT said it on the radio broadcast the other night, just too many high fastballs. And they're not the same high fastballs that he used to throw. And it's funny because he has this history, very long history, of dominating the A's, and he didn't dominate. And the dominance has been few and far between. And, at this point, he's really struggling. I think he certainly thinks he's better than what he's shown, but the guy is 42. You have to remember that. The strikeout to walk is only a little bit better than 2-1. He's giving up a lot of hits, giving up home runs. I hope he still has a little bit left. I guess that's what I would say.
Yeah, we've seen it. He's trying his best, but boy, the ball just is up, and he's getting hit. And the hitters will always tell you what you got, and the hitters are hitting him pretty good right now, which is important for this ball club, because if Birdsong's in trouble and Verlander's in trouble, and Roop got after 4 innings, he couldn't throw many strikes. They've got their all-stars, but they're going to have to deal with the pitching at some point, as your Mets know as well. All right. I'll just throw that in for you. Jacob Lopez, former Giants draftee, went to Tampa Bay for Joe McCarthy, and he's pitched well for the A's, and plus he's a lefty.
He has. His slider is just fine. Last 4 games for his slider, lights out, 2 for 27. And it's this really slow slider that's kind of like curveball speed slider, 79 miles per hour, which is among the slowest for a pitcher with the slider, but it's really good. It comes from a lower arm angle, kind of like J.P. Sears. He's impressive with that pitch. He's a decent pitcher. And it's funny, in the last 3 starts for him, it's been a different pitch each time that he's led with. And the slider was great in that start against the Tigers. They went 0 for 10 against it. So you're going to see it a lot. Throws it a ton if you're sending up a left-handed hitter against him. Throws it a decent amount if you see a right-handed hitter against him. He's not going to be an easy one for the Giants today. By the way, I looked up on the ballpark. Sutter Health Park is the most doubles-friendly ballpark in baseball, and it's a very friendly home run park as well. Wow.
That's a good one. Okay. Yeah, the A's have won Lopez's last 5 starts, and he's gone 6-7 innings in 3 of the 5. So, they're going to have to deal with this today. We'll see what happens here. So it's Jacob Lopez, lefty, and Hayden Birdsong, the right.
Can I give you a pick to click? Can I give you a pick to click? I'll give you Wilmer as the pick to click, and then I'm going to go with the anti-pick to click. Maybe he'll defy it and turn out great. Heliot Ramos against pitchers who throw from a low arm angle, left-handed pitchers, doesn't hit them at all. Like 3 for 22 from the arm angles that I checked. That's pretty rough. 3 for 22, low arm angle, left-handed pitchers. So I'll take Wilmer today as a pick to click. I will not take Heliot Ramos.
Okay, all right, very good. Willie Adames. He's starting to hit the ball, and, he's getting his pitch. And if it's spinning or if it's a slider away, it's always going to be a little trouble. But if he gets his pitch over the plate, he's hammering it right now.
Yeah, a little bit more patient at the plate. I think they were talking about this on the radio broadcast the other day. It's a 6-game positive stretch that he's starting to look like the Willie Adames that cost them a considerable amount in the offseason. Certainly encouraging to have 3 hits in a game, and 3 hits in a game, none of which were home runs, twice in the last 3 days. And I'm not ready to say that he is yet fixed, but I will say that he is certainly trending in the right direction. He's up to his OPS 35 points since the start of July, which I think you have to like.
Yeah, yeah. If he gets a fastball, if he gets anything over the plate, even if it's up a little bit, he hammers it, and he could take it to right field, to right center. And we haven't seen him hit the home run there in a while. But if he hits one out in this ballpark, my prediction is it's going to go out to right center for him. But he's definitely done big hits last night, 2-out hits, drove in 4 runs. So with Webb last night, that was the difference in the game. Friday night was as bad as any game I've seen them play. You got to pitch and you got to have defense, as Richie Aurelius says, or offense. And when you don't have all three, you're in real trouble. And that was Friday night.
Yeah, that game, I have to say, was gross. I was so, I guess, it's rare that I get irritated watching a game, but 3 errors and then 3 other balls where Jung Hoo Lee got turned around on a fly ball and missed it. Patrick Bailey misplayed a pop-up, and then Heliot Ramos bobbled the ball where he didn't get called for an error when he bobbled a base hit. So you had those 3 things. You also had the 3 errors, and they went 0 for 11 with runners in scoring position, their worst runners in scoring position game in 3 years, and they gave up 9 extra base hits. That was as bad as it gets. You would hope that it wouldn't get any worse than that, because if it's worse than that, I'm turning off the TV.
Okay, well, last night Webb straightened that out, and he got he got the double plays when he needed it last night. That was good for him. The Phillies come in next. And I watched a little of the Philly-Cincinnati game today, and the Phillies won at 3-1. Wheeler, no walks, 12 strikeouts, 1 hit, a home run to Austin Hayes, a complete game. The Giants don't get him. But how are the Phillies doing? Are the Phillies hitting the ball?
So the story of the recent Phillies success is actually in their starting pitching, and it's everyone except for Luzardo for them, who I think the Giants may see, may not. But Christopher Sanchez has basically done what Wheeler did today, 4 or 5 starts in a row, where he's really dominated, and the Giants will see him at some point in this series. They had a doubleheader on Wednesday, so I'm not sure who they're starting, like Monday, Tuesday. But if they start the 2 guys that pitched in that's him, and it's Mick Abel, who's a rookie, who has looked pretty good at points this season. They're hitting like some, but they're not necessarily overwhelming you with their hitting. Their team ERA, I think I looked at like the last 13, 14, 15 games, is really low 2s, and that's how they're getting it done. And they're trying to survive without Jose Alvarado, and they're piecing it together. They have so many veteran players. Like, I would worry if I'm the Giants about this series considerably, because just on paper, it feels like a very tough matchup.
Well, you got to get the lefties out. And without Eric Miller, who's now on the IL, you're talking about Scott Alexander's back, and he did not have a good beginning of the season. And then Lucchesi, who you're familiar with, the Mets had him. That's it from the left side. I think, for me, that's going to be the biggest part of this series coming up.
Yeah, and you're talking about the matchups with guys like Bryce Harper, who's been good this year, but not like super duper star good. He's just been like all right good, but he's not the only lefty, as you're saying. They have Brandon Marsh, they have Schwarber. They have Kepler. Schwarber is hitting home runs at a very high rate, entered today with 27. I don't know if he hit one today. Slugging is over 500. OPS is up near in the 900s. Yeah, he's been really good. And I think you're right. And sometimes with the middle reliever lefties, you're flipping a coin. And I think the Giants are in flip a coin mode at this point, unless they find someone who's got a little bit of a magic touch to them.
Yep, they're going to need Walker, and they're going to need Rodriguez in this series. I can see that coming. And the 2 lefties, whoever they're going to be. Then the Dodgers come in next. And the Dodger pitching, you never know who you're going to see. I think they're throwing Sheehan today, and Robleski followed Ohtani the other day. They're coming in next, and they have an 8-game lead, and I guess they're sort of a little bit on cruise control.
Yeah, I think so. So in the last couple weeks for them, other than that 18-1 game, the story for them has been hitting a lot of home runs. I think it was close to a game for a couple of weeks. Ohtani's obviously got his 30-ish and Teoscar Hernandez. And now remember that they've got Muncy's out because he got
Right.
hurt, that pretty severe injury. But the Dodgers are such that they lose a guy and they just plug in a veteran player or they plug in someone else and they're just fine. And they'll figure it out without him, even though he's been one of their better players this year. But Will Smith is the National League leader in batting average and on base percentage, and is slugging .560. So he's been ridiculous. He's almost as good as Ohtani OPS-wise. That lineup is loaded. If the Giants went 3-3 this week, I think it would be a decent week. If they went 4-2 somehow, I think it would be a great week. But I think they're going to have their hands full against both teams for different reasons.
Well, a lot going on in New York. The Mets lose today. It breaks their 4-game winning streak. The Yankees break the 6-game losing streak. They won 6-4. And Toronto's won 8 straight. So how about a little something from the East Coast there on what's going on with the Yankees and the Mets?
So the Mets did very well to win 2 out of 3 in this series, and they were pretty. They hung in today, despite a significant disadvantage starting pitching-wise because Max Fried was pitching for the Yankees. The Mets had this bumpy road where it seemed like nothing could go right for them, but now they've won 4 in a row, or they had won 4 in a row before today. They get Kudai Senga back. They get Sean Manaea back, so that's 2 of their top starters. They've had other guys go down in the meantime, and they're going to have to deal with that. Starling Marte got hurt at the end of the game today, but it looks like Jesse Winker will be back, so he's all right. Yankees were desperate for a win. They finally got one. The pitching had allowed a bazillion runs between the Blue Jays and the Mets, and finally got on track a little bit with Max Fried in this game. They're, I think, in a little bit of trouble, but they still have, kind of similar to the Dodgers, that veteran roster that you think will eventually muffle its way through. And then the Blue Jays, hey, how about them? They've been fantastic. Swept 4 from the Yankees. Didn't expect that. Alejandro Kirk is someone who's been really good for them, their catcher. Got to give him some props, and Vlad, and George Springer, who had a really good series against the Yankees. I still think it's early, though. I would take the Yankees in the AL East.
All right, it's good baseball. Judge hit a home run today, his 33rd today, and Woodruff pitched for Milwaukee. Woodruff pitched for Milwaukee, which was huge for them today. He gave them 6 great innings against the Marlins. So, as I said when I opened the show today, it's baseball time. You feel that, Mark?
For sure, absolutely.
Yeah, good. All right, have a good afternoon, and we'll talk to you next week. Thanks, Mark.
Yep. See you, Marty.
All right, that is Mark Simon of Sports Info Solutions. Mark A. Simon says on Twitter. All right, Bruce Jenkins next, right here on the Sports Leader.
Talking baseball with Marty Lurie on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the Sports Leader.
Fans, it's great to have Rick Robin back with us. Rick Robin Construction, Napa.com. Rick, it's great to have you with us. Last year, a major honor for you. You're the Napa Contractor of the Year. How about that?
Yeah, so it wasn't any advertising or anything. The customers voted, and I finished number 1.
I love it. Napa Valley Contractor of the Year. Rick, the things you specialize in, it's things that people need, and you take it from beginning to end. Let's go through the list.
We specialize in kitchens and baths. That's our main source. We do whole home remodels, brand new homes. We do ADUs. We do all your construction needs. Anything you need, just give us a call.
And the phone number is 707-332-7575. And, of course, on the web, it's Rick Robin, ROBBEN, ConstructionNapa.com. Rick, great to have you back with us. I look forward to a great season with you.
Oh, it's going to be great. Give us a call and talk to Tammy. If you like our quote, we'll take you down to our showroom. We'll pick out all your material and look forward to work with everybody.
Fans, the things I love about Rick, he does all the work. That's for me.
Hi, it's Marty Lurie reporting from River Islands, where Bay Area home buyers have been discovering the good life for the past 10 years. I don't think there's another location in the greater Bay Area that offers such a terrific combination of homes, lakes, parks, and schools. Not only is the natural setting magnificent, close to the San Joaquin River, but there are whole neighborhoods built around lakes with docks to let you go rowing or kayaking right from your backyard. There are baseball fields and soccer fields and fields just for sitting back and taking in the view. I like that. River Islands High School is brand new and beautiful, and the 3 K through 8th grade schools are among the highest scoring in the county. How about that? Del Webb, a specialist in 55-plus living, offers 3 model complexes in its own master planned community built within River Islands. More than ever, River Islands has it all, and it's all priced from $600,000 to over $1 million. Go to riverislands.com, see for yourself how you like it, how the good life is, and how it can be your life. That's riverislands.com.
Look through the window of the original Joe's on North Beach and you'll see 2 guys at the counter talking ball. Time for you to listen in to their conversation. Marty Lurie and the SF Chronicles' Bruce Jenkins are looking through the window of baseball. Sponsored by Original Joe's of North Beach and Westlake on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
All right, great to have you back with us. Hope everyone is taking it nice and slow, coming back from vacation as we wrap up this July 4th weekend. Bruce Jenkins, how are you?
Doing well, Marty. You know, nothing like showcasing the West Sacramento ballpark on national TV, right? Get a good look at this, everybody.
What struck me in looking at it was the one deck. I mean, it looked like a park down here in Arizona.
Exactly.
And to see a major league game, and Mark Simon just said this, which I'm surprised. Not that the numbers surprised me, but there are more doubles hit in this park than any other park in the majors. How about that?
Yeah, well, you know, a forgettable stat for me, but it's there's so many more issues going on there, but. You know, it's so odd because the team is really pretty likable in a lot of ways. They've got a lot of exciting players, but you know, I'm never going to go up there just because of what they've done. You know, if you're going to wear a friggin' Las Vegas patch on your sleeve, I'm done with you.
Yeah, it's true. No, it's true. But they do have some young players that are a lot of fun to watch, and the Giants have their hands full today with Hayden Birdsong and Lopez. So a game they need. Giants, you know, Bruce, as we'll wrap it up a little more next weekend before the break, but Giants right in the middle of this whole thing, the wild card and everything else. They're right there, and they can pitch, and that usually for me is the difference maker.
Yeah, and, you know, tremendous news today that they got 3 pitchers in the All-Star game, which is hard for any team to accomplish in any year. And they're all totally deserving. To me, Webb should start the game, last night being the shining example of why. And Robbie Ray is pitching as well as anybody, and Rodriguez is one of the top relievers, so that's really good. They're really they're not really in the division race with the Dodgers. They're 8 games out. I mean, they could easily get back in it, but 8 games out is not a good sign the way that the Dodgers are slowly getting their momentum back. But the wild card is, you know, obviously just fascinating. I mean, there's so many ways they can go. So many teams are in it, and that's probably, I'm sure the Giants will be in that right to the finish, and that's what keeps the fan going. You got to have a reason to care.
Yeah, and you know, you look at the Mets, and by the way, Soto not an All-Star. Are you surprised at that?
Yeah, it's terrible. I mean, I'm glad they got James Wood and Carroll and Tatis in there, which is crucial. I mean, it's tough sledding for Ramos to try and sneak, but Soto should definitely be in there. Just because. I mean, I'd like to see Harper in there. He's been hurt a lot, but I just like to see guys like that in the game.
Yeah. Yeah, the Brewers got a big win today with Woodruff back there. They're very much in it. Their pitching has really turned it around. They're hitting the ball. So you got the Mets and Milwaukee. Then after that, it's San Diego, St. Louis, the Giants, Cincinnati. Giants are the best team of the crowd there, and I think they could come in 4th, 5th, or 6th.
Yeah, they absolutely could. I think the pitching probably slides them ahead of San Diego. There's no comparison in the hitting, but, you know, pitching makes all the difference, and you never know what you're going to get from any of the San Diego pitchers these days. And, you know, Arizona's not that far out either, so Carroll comes back. He's back in the lineup, so it's going to be great. And you're right. The Giants. There's no reason the Giants fall out of that race.
Bruce, looking at the Giants and what's coming up here, Chapman coming back is a huge boost to this lineup, and it takes a lot of pressure off, I think, Adames and what follows after him. I think Chapman just is huge coming back.
Yeah, the timing last night was really, really important. I mean, the Friday night game is one of the worst games they've ever played in any year for me. There were 7 defensive mistakes, 2 by Ramos and 5 other guys screwed up plays that they should have made. I mean, just one after another. And Verlander had a tough outing, said he was easy to hit. And you come out of that game, all you remember is Denzel Clark hitting one in Nevada or wherever he put it, and Nick Kurtz and all the ace guys. And where are the Giants going? Well, then now you got Webb on the mound. He's pitching in his hometown weather. He's looking great. Chapman's back. Adames strikes early. They got up 4-0. It's amazing how things can get encouraging in a matter of 24 hours. And it was all very much for real.
Yeah, it all starts on the mound.
Yeah,
and that's why I say, look, Verlander is trying his best, but the hitters are hitting him. Birdsong is great to start the game. Maybe his spot is in the bullpen. Maybe that's something that he's got to work through again. But then he sort of gets lit up after that. And Roop, I saw this week, and he's got the great curveball, but he's got to have his other stuff. I'll tell you, it's this trade deadline is coming up. The Giants have got to be active in looking for a starting pitcher. I think it's imperative.
Well, they do. I think not as much as other teams who are just flat out desperate. I mean, we'll see how Birdsong does today. I've got a lot of faith in him. They've got Wisenhunt in the minors. It looks like he could be a starter. They obviously don't have Hicks or Harrison anymore, but these guys they've mostly pitched really well this season. I think they need more hitting. I think more than anything, the bullpen's looking pretty good, but they need more games like last night where they get out early and then they hit some home runs and the games are comfortable and those pitchers have some breathing room. I mean, these guys are Verlander hasn't had a lead yet. I mean, look at Jacob deGrom. Every time he goes out, they win easily, and Verlander can't get one comfortable win. So I mean, the hitting is the big thing for me.
All right, okay. Which brings me to Jung Ho Lee. I've watched him a lot, and we all have. And as I said, the first week of the season, he's going to lead the league in hitting. He's going to hit 360, and now he's hitting like 238. I'd put him back in the leadoff spot. I really would, and hope that he can just start slapping the ball around and maybe work the count and use his speed and all that. He's not an RBI guy, and they have him in an RBI spot. I think that's a mistake.
No, I totally agree with you. He should be hitting leadoff. He's not going to be as bad as he's looked, or probably as great as he looked right off the bat. But he's a professional hitter. He dominated Korean ball for years. He goes the other way. We've seen him do everything. We've seen him yank the ball out on a dead pull. We've seen him double to left center, hit the ball down the left field line, up the middle. And he's going to have one of those streaks. And like you say, he gets on the bases. He's a smart base runner, and he can make things happen. I think there's a lot more to come from him.
Yeah, to me, he's a catalyst.
Yeah.
And when he can do something at the top of the order, it's huge. And if Adames is back and not missing his pitch, which he is not missing his pitch lately, you can put him in that 2 spot, move Ramos down into the 5 spot, and now you've got, with Chapman 4th and Devers 3rd, I think you got a pretty good offense right there.
Yeah, and of course Devers has to really show up. I mean, what Ryan Nelson did to him, actually with all the Giants, but the other night, he made him look like an amateur. He couldn't make any kind of contact at all, and he just seems like he's going to go up there and not do anything. That's going to change. Hopefully, it always does with him. He started the season like 0 for 100. Next thing you know, his stats are all normal. But I think the lineup could make a lot more sense. I've always liked Adames from the beginning. I don't care what kind of slump he was in. That we saw more of what he's about last night. So it could shape up if everything you said comes true, and it could. It could make a difference. The bottom of the order is kind of a different story, but if Schmidt takes over second base, which it sounds like it's going to happen, I totally welcome that. That's huge. And he's he's hitting 276 without doing anything special for him. He's a power hitter. He makes contact, and he's getting better.
Yeah, and he'll play second base. He's playing second base in his rehab. So when he comes back, he knows he's going to be the second baseman. That's clear. Let's talk a little baseball, though. This Crowley, Bruce, have you followed this guy this week?
Oh yeah,
from Seattle. He's got 35 home runs.
You can't miss him, can you? I mean, he's right there. You talk about guys who home runs at the All-Star break. The classic one for me is not really Bonds, because that whole season had its own questions. But Reggie Jackson had 37 homers at the break in '69, and everybody's looking at Ruth and Maris, and it's a lock. And he only wound up with 47, which was pretty stunning. But he's playing for the A's, and he created a whole lot of excitement that year. And now we see Raleigh he's got 35. We're still not at the All-Star break. If you talk about switch hitting catchers, is the record really, or was it Matt Noakes? Was that the record with 32 of his rookie season with the Tigers for switch hitting catchers? I think it was. I mean, he's got that locked up, ridiculously so. But better switch hitters, you're talking about Ted Simmons and Jorge Posada, but just for power in a season. And not only that, Seattle, they've had really good starting pitching for years, and once again, and this is the guy behind the plate orchestrating that staff, throwing guys out. He won the Gold Glove last year, for heaven's sakes. What can't he do? And he still seems like a bit of a mystery, but if you look at his numbers, there's nothing wrong there.
No, he's a Gold Glover, and Seattle comes in, you don't really think about him until you watch the game, and then he's a force. This is interesting. Soto not an all-star. How about, did you see Suzuki of the Cubs? He leads the National League in RBIs, leads the major leagues in RBIs, and he's not on.
Yeah, that's wrong. I mean, but they've got two outfielders out there already. They got, don't the Cubs have two starting outfielders out there?
Yeah,
Kyle Tucker and Crow Armstrong.
And PCA.
First time two Cubs since Augie Gallen and Frank DeMarais in 1936. For heaven's sake, you got two Cubs.
Good.
They're ahead of Paul Wainer and Mel Ott, for God's sake, back then. That was a great year for the Cubs. But I mean, you can't put three Cubs out there. But he really ought to be on the team. But there's, to me, to get Wood, Tatis, and Carroll on there, that's just imperative. And then you see where it goes from there. And you're a little surprised by Crow Armstrong being that good this soon, but you just run out of players. But Suzuki's just absolutely raking. He's fun to watch, and the Cubs are they're dominating that division.
I'm looking at the All-Star rosters for both leagues. They're pretty good. The pitching, the bullpen, the starters, the speed. Maybe baseball is doing a better job of marketing, but I wish this was a game like it used to be, that it wasn't going to be, a third of an inning and take a guy. I wish that they would actually play a game here, because these guys are pretty good.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I mean, it's great to honor the relief pitchers, and here comes a new one, and he's throwing 117 miles an hour, and it's 1-1 in the 15th inning. I mean, whatever. There was a time when guys went 3 innings, and then Marshall, Seaver, Koufax or whatever. Guys went.
Yeah.
They went 3 innings, and you could use 3 guys, and everybody else is just thrilled to be on the team. They don't have to be in the game. They're thrilled to be in the clubhouse that night and during the weekend. The starters go 3, and they use a couple other guys, and it does feel more like a game. And of course, you got to take the team out of the the Ralph's Market uniforms or whatever. Peace House of Linoleum, whatever the hell who they dressed up as. A bunch of idiots out there.
They're back to the regular uniform. They're back.
Okay,
thank God,
that's good.
Yeah.
That's important. That's really important. But we talk about it every year at this time when Mays and Aaron and Clemente and those guys, they played, if not the whole game, an awful lot of it. When the Giants won the game at Candlestick years ago, those 3 guys were still in the game, for heaven's sake. Oh my goodness.
And that's what sells the sport, and they got it this year. They have it. They have the names. They have the excitement.
They definitely do.
And they could use a game, but as you say, we'll see what happens. As a historical note, which you and I celebrate every year, and that is on July 5th, it is the debut of Larry Doby, when he broke the color line in the American League, and of course just a few months after Jackie Robinson did it for the Brooklyn Dodgers in 1947. But Larry Doby always is remembered. And Bruce, we have just a minute or so with Larry Doby because I want to play his.
I knew you had him, Marty, because you've got everyone. That's awesome.
Yeah, then we'll chat about it. But go ahead, Raph. Let's hear Larry Doby.
When Mr. Robinson got involved in baseball in 1945, when I was in the service in a little island called Ulithi in the South Pacific, and there were two Major League ball players on that island with me, a fellow by the name of Mickey Vernon, and another fellow by the name of Billy Goodman. And they knew I played in the Negro League, so I would go out and we would pitch batting practice against each other. And Vernon told me that he thought I had a good opportunity to be involved in Major League Baseball. So the 47 was a sort of surprise and a great thing for me, thank God, that I had the ability to be involved in baseball. But I didn't know anybody was scouting me at the time. But then I think the early part of 47, there was a fellow by the name of Lou Jones who worked for Bill Veeck, public relation man for Bill Veeck. He came to the house and he said that they were scouting me and probably come back to see me again in June. And he did come back in June and took me to a ball game. Cleveland was playing the Yankees. And then he went back to Cleveland, and I got a telephone call that he was coming back. And he said he'd be back probably around the early part of July. And we had a doubleheader in Newark. And first game I played, and the second game I caught a train going to Chicago where the team was. And the next morning I met with Mr. Veeck, signed a contract, and became the first player in the American League.
Wow. How about that, Bruce?
Oh, yeah, you mentioned Newark. I mean, he was playing for the Newark Eagles of the Negro League when he was still in high school. In 46, the year he got to the Bigs, his team won the Negro League World Series against the Kansas City Monarchs with Satchel Paige, and he was a big deal in the Negro Leagues. And I'll tell you, the two of the most underappreciated men in the history of the game are Larry Doby, who did what Jackie Robinson had to do in a different league in the same kind of circumstances, and Bill Veeck, who had the foresight to sign him. You know, there were a lot of owners who didn't want any part of a black man. I mean, it was years before they surrendered, and reluctantly at that. But they made it happen pretty darn early, just 3 months after Jackie Robinson. And, you know, Larry Doby was a real tough kid. He lost his father when he was 8 years old, and, you know, he was used to being alone and fending for himself, and, you know, a real tough-minded kid. And he got that chance to play, and he didn't turn back. I mean, by 48, the year after he was brought up to Cleveland, he was playing for a pennant-winning team, the Cleveland Indians, in the 48 series. He had a homer off Johnny Sane, and he made the All-Star team 7 years in a row, and really great career that people don't acknowledge. I mean, obviously Jackie Robinson it's a titanic story that changed everything, really. But there had to be something after that, like right away. Not just that, hey, Jackie broke in 4 years ago. What else? You know, I mean, and Larry Doby was the guy to keep that going.
Beautiful. Well said, Bruce. Oh, good show. All right, appreciate it. Next week we got Giants-Dodgers, so then we got the All-Star game. So a lot of baseball coming up this week, Phillies-Dodgers too. So have a good day. Thanks, Bruce.
Yeah, you too, Marty. Thanks a million.
All right, be well. All right, the Professor, Ron Wotus, next right here on the Sports Leader.
Talking baseball with Marty Lurie on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the Sports Leader.
Hello again, Marty Lurie here to talk to you about my good friends at Georgie Brothers, the largest family-owned furniture store in the entire Bay Area. Right now, and good through August 4th, you can save hundreds of dollars on almost anything in the Stressless line. This includes sofas, sectionals, recliners, and the original Stressless chair and ottoman. And you know I have them in my house. Evan's got one, Bonnie's got one, Aaron's got one. They couldn't be more comfortable, those Stressless chairs. They're fabulous. Well, the more you spend, the more you save. I own Stressless furniture, and I can tell you, once again, it's the most comfortable place I have to sit in my home. Visit them at GeorgieBrothers.com. That's GIORGIBROS.com. Fans, I'm coming up to the Bay Area to see some Giants baseball. It also means I'm going to see Sonny from A&H Transportation. A&H Transportation, the East Bay's finest, serving the Bay Area since 2007. If you need to be picked up at the airport, it's 24/7. Take him to the airport, San Francisco, Oakland, San Jose. Whether it's wine tours, concerts, game events, medical appointments, Sonny and A&H Transportation will take care of you just as family would. Give them a call, 925-200-2824. You can check them out on the web, ah4limo.com. Email them, ah4limo at ah4limo.net. Sonny, I'll see you soon.
Time now to go to Sunday school with the professor.
Hey, Professor, take it easy, will you?
Giants coach Ron Wotus with Marty Laurie.
Oh, I didn't know you wanted to get involved with the discussion, Mr. Helper.
On your home of Giants baseball.
Good answer. Like the way you think.
KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
Brought to you by River Islands, one of the country's top-selling master plan communities just across the Altamont in Lathrop. Where else can you live on a lake next door to a park or walking distance to your kid's new school? With 10 new neighborhoods, River Islands is the one place you can't afford to miss.
Well, our July 4th weekend coming to an end here. Well, how are you today? What's doing?
Doing well. As you said, the weekend's coming to a close, and the Giants will be back home tomorrow after the game tonight up there in Oakland, which I'm looking forward to watching.
Yeah, it's a good time for baseball. I like this time, July 4th. It's the holiday. Football hasn't started yet. Basketball, I think, is over. Hockey is done, and this is baseball's time. Do you feel that?
Yeah, I do. Look, there's a lot going on. The All-Star game has been picked, right? And that's always something that's on everybody's mind, not just, the fans, but the players and coaches and managers on who's going to make the All-Star game. And then after, you have the All-Star game, here we go with the Major League Draft. So the front office is gearing up and having meetings, looking at players, evaluating young talent, college and high school. And, so there's a lot going on this time of year. And, of course, then you have the All-Star break, which everybody that's on the field can't wait for. And even in the people working at the ballpark and people that work around the business, they get to have a break for a few days. My goodness, 4 days off in the middle of the season, it feels like a month.
Boy, doesn't it? It really does, and it's
Yeah.
like that. It's like that every year. And then when it's important leading into the break that there's no letdown, and coming out of the break, it's important that there's no letdown. And this week, let's face it, the Giants are going to be challenged, as the Phillies will be challenged, and so will the Dodgers, because the Giants could pitch, and they're playing them at home. So this is a big week coming up.
Yeah, it is. It's a little easier, in today's game since they pushed back the trading deadline a little bit. So, it used to be even more imperative a few years ago, right? When if you went into the All-Star break and you stumbled and now you're, so many games out, the front office, they might be sellers instead of buyers. So, but still, it's kind of it's a gauge in the middle of the season at where everybody's at and how's the club going to proceed forward on what they do. And, speaking from a coach's perspective or a manager's perspective, you're always aware of the 4 days off. The first thing you want is no off-field injuries, right? Guys are flying around the country, they're going home, they're doing things. They have this big break, but you want to finish strong. You want to go into the break strong, and then you want to come out of it, Marty, which is even more difficult after having 4 days off. Do you have a workout that last day? I think now you can't. It has to be an optional workout. Years ago, there was always mandatory workouts because 4 days off without playing baseball, not throwing a ball is an awful lot, more than two, and your body feels awfully weird and you don't feel good. But now, teams still do have optional workouts. And how do you get out of the gate after the break? That could always get sloppy. Sometimes teams don't respond, and sometimes teams get hot. Who knows? So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I always say teams disappear. I've said it for years. After the break, some teams are going to disappear. that were in it, then they're going to get off to that slow start. Well, what do you think about the three All-Stars? Obviously Logan Webb and Robbie Ray and Randy Rodriguez. Boy, they need Rodriguez big time, and that's a nice honor for him.
It really is. Look, they got it right. I mean, these are the three guys most deserving, although, I feel there's a couple other guys that, were in the mix. I mean, Ty Raj, has always been so valuable to the club. You look at his numbers and appearances and things he does. But, it's stiff competition, and we know that a third-place club's not going to get five guys on the team. And the other one for me is Wilmer Flores. We don't know yet. I'm hoping that he could sneak in there as a reserve. We can get into him a little bit. But to your point, Robbie Ray, Logan Webb, and Randy Rodriguez, they're all having unbelievable seasons. I mean, Webby's having one of his better years. And the thing that impresses me about Webby is he's reinventing himself. He's throwing, high fastballs. He's, changed his pitch repertoire a little bit. He's so in tune to what hitters do against him to keep reinventing and trying to get better. As long as he's been in the league, it's impressive. And of course, Robbie Ray did a little bit of the same thing. And just that last game he threw in Arizona, I couldn't believe how perfect he was. It felt like he was going for a no-hitter. He was throwing so well.
Yeah, I saw it right there. And you've been, a world champion. That save can come at any time during the game, and you guys did it in 10, 12, and 14 and in the earlier years. And Rodriguez can come in that 6th inning, 7th inning. When the game is in trouble, they bring him in, and he gets the job done.
You're right. He doesn't have the sexy title as the closer, but he's been a closer for the inning of decision in the game. Typically it's later, 5th, 6th, 7th, mostly 6th or 7th. It can be in the 5th as well. But there's always an inning of decision where the manager's got to pull the starter and the game could be won or lost. And he's done great with a 0.72 ERA. I mean, that just speaks for itself. And appearances. I think he's third on the team in appearances. And we know we use the pen a lot because starters just don't go as deep into the games as they did years ago. So he's been durable. He's been outstanding. And, he's come a long way in a short period of time for the Giants.
Yeah, it's funny. In spring training 2 years ago, Brad Kelly, who's one of the good scouts for the White Sox, and this is when Dylan Cease was on the market, and I said, boy, the Giants could use Dylan Cease. And I rattled off a couple of names they could trade. And he says, nope, I want Rodriguez. And this was 2 years ago, and that's he knew. He knew, and that's the beauty of scouts. Boy. Hey, it is July 4th, and it's a very special time, I think, in the country and about baseball, too. And every year, you haven't heard this yet, so I want to do this for you. We play Ernie Harwell's Ode to Baseball, and he recites it. Ernie Harwell is one of the fabulous, fabulous broadcasters. He's a Hall of Famer, and I got to meet him, and we recorded it. So we'll sit back. It's about 3-4 minutes, but this is Ernie Harwell's Ode to Baseball that we play on July 4th.
Got it.
Whoop. Who'd we lose, Raph?
I'm still here. Where's Ernie?
Well, thank you, Marty. I wrote this back in 1955,
okay,
and the names of the villains and the heroes have changed since then, and a lot of other things have changed. But I really feel that the spirit of the game between the lines is pretty much the same as it was, even back that far. And here's my definition of baseball. Baseball is a president tossing out the first ball of the season, and a pudgy schoolboy playing catch with his dad on the Mississippi farm. A tall, thin old man waving a scorecard from the corner of his dugout, that's baseball. And so is a big, fat guy with a bulbous nose running home one of his 714 home runs. There's a man in Mobile who remembers that Honus Wagner hit a triple in Pittsburgh 46 years ago. That's baseball. And so is a scout reporting that a 16-year-old Sandlot pitcher in Cheyenne is a coming Walter Johnson. Baseball is a spirited race of man against man, reflex against reflex, a game of inches. Every skill is measured. Every heroic, every failing is seen and cheered or booed, and then becomes a statistic. In baseball, democracy shines its clearest. The only race that matters is a race to the bag. The creed is a rule book, and color merely something to distinguish one team's uniform from another. Baseball is a rookie. His experience no bigger than the lump in his throat as he begins fulfillment of his dream. And it's a veteran, too, a tired old man of 35, hoping that those aching muscles can pull him through another sweltering August and September. Nicknames of baseball, names like Zeke and Pie and Kai and Home Run and Cracker and Dizzy and Dazzy. Baseball is the clear, cool eyes of Rogers Hornsby, the flashing spikes of a Ty Cobb and an overage pixie named Rabbit Moranville. Baseball, just a game as simple as a ball and bat, and yet as complex as the American spirit it symbolizes. It's a sport, business, and sometimes almost even religion. Why, the fairy tale of Willie Mays making a brilliant World Series catch and then dashing off to play stickball in the streets with his teenage pals, that's baseball. And so is the husky voice of a Doom Lou Gehrig saying, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth. Baseball is cigar smoke, hot roasted peanuts, sporting news, ladies' day, down in front. Take me out to the ball game, the seventh inning stretch, and the Star-Spangled Banner. Baseball is a man named Campanella telling the nation's business leaders, you have to be a man to be a big leaguer, but you have to have a lot of little boy in you, too. This is a game for America, this baseball, a game for boys and for men.
Well, I'll tell you, I think it's one of the nicest things I've ever heard. How did it all come about?
It came about, Marty, because I was going out when I was in Baltimore one winter. I was going out to make a speech and began to think about baseball and what it had meant to me over the years. And I had an envelope. I just had a pencil and started writing down some stuff. And it sort of evolved from that.
Well, that's Ernie Harwell. Well,
I'll tell you what, Marty. I loved it. I mean, look, and I loved your voice there with the questions to him. A few years back, obviously, you know, a couple of things really, you know, struck out to me. You know, the veteran, the 35-year-old, is his muscles going to make it through a long, hard summer? You think a guy at 35, right, doing that? And did I hear a ladies' day at the ballpark? They used to have ladies' day. So some of those nostalgic things that he brought up, you know, just talking about the scout. You mentioned your buddy, how good the scout was. That is baseball, and those are the things that kind of resonate with me. That was really good.
Yeah, and it's the shoulders that we stand on today that makes baseball today. It came from someplace, and that's where it came from. So that's what I like about it. That's what I like. And it makes me think of River Islands and all the fun you can have on July 4th at River Islands. There's something American about, I don't know, something about it.
Oh, you're exactly right. You know, I don't know if they had them because I didn't check, but fireworks at River Islands? Come on, you kidding me? Out there on the river and the lakes, that has to be beautiful. You know, the boathouse restaurant and the whole thing. So, you know, I was in San Jose, you know, and watching, they had fireworks on 4th of July and 5th. I went down and watched the games there, and, you know, it's beautiful. And it makes you think of a community like River Islands with everybody sitting around, you know, on the streets and on the docks and stuff, watching the fireworks. So I'm glad you brought it up, Marty. Glad you brought it up.
Yeah, it was fun. It's fun. All right, well, look, have a good afternoon. And we'll see how this game plays out tonight with Birdsong and Jacob Lopez. So we'll see. And we'll talk to you next week, Mo.
All right, Marty. Thanks a lot. Have a good night.
All right. All right. Be well. That is the Professor. Glenn Kuiper next, right here on the Sports Leader.
Talking baseball with Marty Lurie on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the Sports Leader.
Fans, you know how I feel about Pave Fine Jewelry. Pave is celebrating its 40th anniversary. Located at 5496 College Avenue in Oakland. Phone is 510-547-7000. Michael Enlick, I've talked about him for so many years. He is the best jewelry designer in the Bay Area. It's time for weddings, it's time for graduation and special family events. Pave Fine Jewelry makes that moment special for you. You'll have it for your entire lifetime. Michael Enlick, I can't say enough about him. He is absolutely the best. PaveFineJewelry.com. Check him out.
It's almost time for hot dogs, peanuts, cold beers, and orange and black baseball. Our Giants warm-up rolls on the sports leader.
All right, great to have you back with us as we get ready for Giants baseball today, joined by Glenn Kuiper and Kerry Crowley. Kerry, how are you?
Doing well, Marty. Great to be back on the air out here at the studio. Got Raph behind the glass, so very excited for this afternoon and this evening.
Oh, very good. And Glenn, you're at the ballpark already, right?
Yes, I'm at Sutter Health Park, longtime home of the Sacramento River Cats, the AAA affiliate of the San Francisco Giants. Also the temporary home of the Athletics. So, yes, I am here in the booth, and it's a nice, warm day. So it's fun to be here. Looking forward to what should be a fun rubber game of the series.
What's the atmosphere like, fan-wise? And I know we heard a lot of Giant fans the last couple of days and saw them, too. What's it like to you? Can you get a feel for it yet?
Well, it's probably a little bit too early. Some people starting to mill around outside. but it's probably too early for that. The parking lots were really pretty empty. But it's, I was not here last night, but in watching the game, it certainly sounded like it was a pretty much a pro Giants crowd. And people that were here said the same thing. So that's kind of interesting. And, you can sort of understand that. But it is, and it always was, guys, one of my favorite things about when these two teams played, especially at the Coliseum, because, you could make a strong argument. It was half A's fans and almost half Giants fans in some games, and just the back and forth cheering. That was always really special. I hope I get a little bit of that feel tonight, even though it'll obviously be a much smaller crowd.
Yeah, it's a spirited crowd. Boy, it made me think of the pregame barbecues and all that. Have you ever seen a better one than Milwaukee?
Milwaukee's pretty good. I know Kansas City's pretty good, because Kansas City has the giant parking lots. I don't know if you've ever been there. They share the parking lots with the football team. But Milwaukee's pretty good. They take pride in it. They take it serious. And the smell walking through the parking lot is second to none. So, you got to have the big parking lots. And there's a few here, but not a lot. But I'll let you know how the smell is, when we get closer to first pitch. How about that?
Come on, the manager, George Bamberger, used to walk out in the parking lot and have a hot dog before the game for the Brewers.
Absolutely.
I remember that. It was good. Kerry, what do you think about this series so far and this matchup today? The Giants have won 4 or 5 against the A's. The A's are a very pesky team, and you better pitch against them because they can do damage.
Yeah, this is kind of a classic A's team to me, Marty. There's so much good young talent. It starts for me with Jacob Wilson. I mean, he is just the guy who you don't want to see come up with runners in scoring position, even 2-out situations. He's a really tough out. There's a reason he's going to start the All-Star game in the American League. I think he's just a great find for the Athletics, and he's very exciting to watch. I think that they've also got a ton of other young talent. I mean, Denzel Clark, the ball that he hit on Friday, what a magnificent shot that was. Wow. The center field that he plays. I mean, maybe more range than any outfielder I've seen, at least in the last 4 or 5 years, that comes to my mind immediately. And then I think they've got some good young pitching. We'll see Jacob Lopez today. They've got the edge on the mound today, and that's a difference maker for the Giants because they obviously lost on Friday night. They've lost series to the White Sox and the Marlins in recent weeks. This is one of those gotta-have-it games. Coming into a statement week against the Phillies, the Dodgers, you can't afford to lose on Sunday night in Sacramento if you're the San Francisco Giants, Marty.
Yeah, Glenn, do you see the lineup turning around a little bit? Adames got hot. I saw him down here in Arizona. He doesn't miss his fastballs now. He hits them. Jung-Ho Lee, I suggested they put him in the leadoff spot to try to get him out of whatever he's going through. But how do you like this lineup now with Chapman back?
Yeah, I think before we can, do a full judgment on this offense, which, has struggled for a long time, a little bit, we've seen some small signs recently where they're starting to look a little bit better, but until it's a full lineup, and it's almost full now because Chapman's back. So it's the first time we're seeing Chapman and Devers in the lineup at the same time. Casey Schmidt's going to be back probably tomorrow. He'll be in the lineup at second base. We liked how he was swinging the bat before he got hurt. So I think I want to see that group, that lineup out there for a while and see how they do before you kind of make this full judgment on the offense just not being very good, because I think with Chapman back and Schmidt and now Devers and that group, all of a sudden the lineup is significantly longer, I think. Yeah. And all of a sudden the bottom of the order, who's ever down there, I haven't seen a Giants lineup tonight, but we'll see kind of what they do when Schmidt comes back. But I do think you'll have a deeper lineup, and that's all you can ask for. And I feel like if Adames can get going like he is, always been a better second half player, Devers in there, Chapman's back, Schmidt should be more productive than Fitzgerald was. Maybe they have another level that they can get to offensively. I mean, we've said it many times, guys. If they don't do that, I think it's going to be very difficult for them to get to the postseason. If they can do that, get to the next level offensively, then I think they got a decent shot.
Boy, Kerry, what do you think about my Jung-Ho Lee suggestion? Put him on the leadoff spot.
I was just about to bring it up, Marty. I listened to you and Bruce on the way in this morning, or this afternoon, I should say. I think it's absolutely the right thing to do right now with this Giants team. You look at where they're at, and Lee's getting the day off today. It's going to be Luis Matos in center field. And you can't really expect Lee to be a run producer for you. He doesn't make enough hard contact to be a run producer. I love that he puts the ball in play, and I think that you'll get the best out of him if he's at the top of the order. He sees a lot of pitches. He's competitive at the plate, fouling a lot of pitches off. But there's too many groundouts right now, and when you've got runners on base, a lot of those can turn into force outs. A lot of those can, kill a rally as they get started. So I'd go with Lee at the top. I'd follow with Devers or Ramos and then Chapman. There's a way to extend this lineup. And with what we've seen from Willy Adames really over the last 3-4 days, I think the Giants could be in a position where if Lee's at the top and Adames is in the 5th or 6th slot in the order, they could be a whole lot more productive. And Glenn brought up a really good point. We need to see this lineup over the course of the next week, really the next 2 weeks before we can make a fair judgment about it. But all this lineup needs to do is be league average. All it needs to do is be about the 15th best lineup out of 30 teams in baseball, and pitching is going to carry this ball club. It's not that much to ask, and now they've got the pieces in place with Chapman back and Schmidt on the way that I think that they can get there.
Hey, Marty, the lineup has
go ahead.
The lineup has just come out, and what we're seeing recently a little more. And I think Bob's going to go with this when they face a left-hander, like tonight. He's been putting Ramos in the leadoff spot, and that's what he's doing tonight. And I wouldn't surprise me if moving forward now, when a lefty's starting, that Ramos is in the leadoff spot, and when a righty's starting, it'll either be Yaz or maybe Lee. We'll see how that goes. But I think Ramos in the leadoff spot is what we're going to see moving forward against left-handed pitching.
Yeah, he did damage down in Arizona, and he does damage, and I've always liked that swing. What do you think about the All-Stars? Webb, Ray, and Rodriguez, Glenn?
Well, you're thinking they're going to get 2, right? I mean, Randy Rodriguez certainly deserves it, but you're almost concerned that, there's a lot of relievers out there, none having a year like he is, but still, could he get overlooked? So I don't want to say I'm surprised, but I am happy that the 2 starters got in, both more than well-deserved, Webb and Ray, and pleasantly surprised that Randy Rodriguez got in. Not that he doesn't deserve it, because statistically you can make a strong argument. He may be, one of the best 3 relievers in all of baseball this year. He just doesn't have the saves on the stat sheet, but it's great. A couple of young guys and a veteran in Robbie Ray, and you get 3 pitchers. That says a lot. I'm glad. And, I'm glad they got picked initially, and it wasn't because guys get added later on, right? But these guys were picked initially, and I think it's great. Congratulations to all 3 of them. And from what we've watched and seen this year, there's no question they all 3 very much deserve it.
Kerry, you think Flores should have been in there?
No. Have you watched Flores' bats over the last month, Marty?
He's hitting about 230. All right.
Yeah, over the last month, he's hitting about 130. With like a 520 OPS. Come on.
Right.
Guy's last home run came against the A's the last time they saw him.
He's hit a little bit of a wall right now.
Flores an all-star. Come on, Marty.
Well,
Marty, you lit a fire under Kerry. You lit a fire under Kerry right there.
You did.
Yeah, Will made a good argument for it. All right.
Did he?
Hey,
Okay.
I'll tell you something. When you look, and Glenn, you did this on your show, but you look at the Cy Young Awards and MVPs and all that. Randy Rodriguez, for me, on this team is going to get some MVP award, points for me.
You mean team MVP? Is that what you're saying?
Well, give him something. I mean, look, when they win games, this guy is part of it. Look,
And
I haven't done the whole stat yet. Kerry can do this because he's a math major. But look at Rodriguez. And how many games he's been in and how many games they won when he was in there.
Yeah, no, you're right. And his numbers are great, but I could only, just off the top of my head, remember really one bad outing, and that was in Colorado where he was 1 out away from it, or he was an error really away from picking up the save, but the game got away from him. But he's almost automatic. I hope we're not jinxing him. But and you know what I like about him too, guys, is Bob prefers to use him, a clean inning, bring him out there in the 7th or the 8th or whatever. But if things are getting hairy in an inning, which we've seen, a couple guys on, we saw it last night, Rodriguez has the great ability to get out of jams, to come in and pitch with traffic on the bases. And that's an art. Not every relief pitcher is good at that. So he's good at that, and if the game is going smoothly, you bring him in with a clean inning. So, yeah, I mean, listen, I think the pitching staff, they are the MVPs so far, and the bullpen maybe the MVP group, and maybe Rodriguez is the MVP of that group, if you really want to narrow it down. But man, what a surprise and what a find, and boy, it's fun to see a kid that the Giants brought up through their system, and to be this successful. So good luck to Randy Rodriguez the rest of the year.
Kerry, did you do the math?
I tried to do the math, but
you're from the Harvard of the Southwest, right?
Exactly. There we go, Marty. Thank you for acknowledging Arizona State University. Access to education, it's important in this country. Randy Rodriguez, I don't have the stat that you were looking for, but I do have this. He was the highest voted on reliever of Major League players. So of the player selections, he received the most votes with 143. The second highest reliever in the National League was Edwin Diaz with 102. So Randy Rodriguez got 40-plus more votes than the next highest guy, who's a closer who everyone in the league knows. And so it goes to show you how much he's put himself on the radar this year. And I'm sure a number of these guys are just looking up who has the best ERA in baseball right now. But at the same time, he's put himself in this position. He's consistently gotten outs in high-leverage situations. He deserves this accolade. And really, when you look at the last 2 months of baseball, one earned run from Randy Rodriguez. What more could you ask for about what Glenn said, a homegrown product who was signed and developed inside the Giants farm system? For years, they've struggled to to sign and develop Latin American players. They've got Camilo Doval at the Major League level. He was a big breakthrough for them. And now Randy Rodriguez coming through that pipeline in the Dominican Republic. That's a significant development for the state of the Giants organization, their efforts in Latin America.
No, absolutely. In fact, inherited runners scored. Someone can look that up. But I'll guarantee he's right up there with the best. Go ahead, Glenn.
Well, no, I was saying, what Kerry said about him getting the most votes from the players. That's the biggest compliment you can get as a player or a pitcher, is if the people you're facing vote for you. That's huge. That's great information, Kerry. And to me, that's the ultimate compliment for a pitcher, if you think about it, to get the most votes from the guys who are facing you to make the All-Star team. So that tells you just how nasty he is and how hard he is to hit, right? So that's a huge compliment.
Very nice. Kerry, what do you think about tonight's matchup?
I think it's a good one, and I'm excited to see Hayden Birdsong, Marty. And I think that he has struggled a lot lately, and you mentioned this. He's been good early. But the Giants need to see him be able to get guys out consistently the second time through the order. I think that's the next step in the development for Hayden Birdsong. And he also needs to be throwing competitive pitches. So not every pitch needs to be a strike for Hayden Birdsong, but you do need to float with the corners. You do need to make these A's hitters think. You saw the outing against Arizona where there were 10 straight balls, and a few of those were competitive. But since Birdsong's come up from the minor leagues last year, a lot of his misses have been easy to see out of the hand. And as soon as that changes, as soon as that switch flips for him, I think he's going to morph into a front end of the rotation starter. I think he has that kind of potential. And so it's a challenge pitching in Sacramento. It's a challenge pitching against this young A's team. But if he could be more competitive with the misses, he's someone who can instantly give you 5 innings of 1-run ball, 6 innings of 2-run ball. And that's huge for this Giant staff, which isn't getting much from Justin Verlander and not supporting Justin Verlander in any way. And Landon Roop's going to hit a wall at some point, Marty. He just is. He's been so good for the Giants over the last 2 months, but I'm worried about those innings. What do they do in August,
Glenn, you can answer that.
No, yeah. Well, I think it is something. Kuiper. Right. It's something to watch for really close, I think, in the next 2 weeks, because, if you see any wear and tear from Roop, or if you see Birdsong just not being able to get this thing going, the Verlander thing, we're just not sure there. It's gonna push a decision for the Giants front office on whether you go get a veteran starting pitcher, right? That's going to be a big decision. If they feel like they're a starter short, and maybe you can get a quality veteran guy, maybe that's an area where you go to at the trade deadline. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility at all. So we can start looking at names out there too. I thought of a name the other day, guys. Charlie Morton.
Okay.
Charlie Morton's. He was not good early, but he's been pitching great lately. Knows all about winning. Hey, I don't know. It's just fun to throw names out there, but maybe if need be, that's the kind of guy you go get at the trade deadline. Who knows?
Yeah, I like Charlie Morton. If he hit you, then he had it that day. If he would hit you, then he had it.
Maybe the Giants need that guy then. They've been getting hit a lot.
I'm telling you. Well, let's talk about it. It's a great point to bring up, and it's the truth about Charlie Morton. If he hit you, he had it that day. What do you think about them getting hit so much, Glenn?
I don't know. You always try to look. Okay, are the hitters diving in? Because a lot of times that's why guys get hit. I don't see it a lot. I don't see Ramos diving in on pitches. Is it being done on purpose? No, I don't think so. I don't see any reason why they would get thrown at. I think the Giants pitchers and the coaching staff, I think they've, controlled themselves pretty well because, you saw Bob's face last night in the dugout, and that kind of said it all. But I don't know that it's the hitters really diving in. I'm not seeing a lot of that. It just could be a bad luck kind of thing where, guys that they're facing are just wild. I mean, Severino was a little bit all over the place yesterday, but so I wish I could kind of put my finger on it, guys, but I can't, and I don't think it's being done on purpose. That just doesn't seem to come in watching the different situations.
What do you do, Kerry?
Well, the Giants are in this sweet spot, Marty, where they can't do anything. Teams like the Cubs, the Dodgers, they can hit someone. Teams like the Rockies, the White Sox, they can hit someone. The Giants can't hit someone. They are in the wild card race. They are a team that doesn't score a lot of runs. Every base runner that they put on could score, and that could be the run that decides the ball game. I am glad for the sake of what the Giants experienced against the Miami Marlins with Hayden Birdsong losing it against Miami after he hit a batter, that Logan Webb didn't try to retaliate last night, because I just think they are in this very, very small spot in the Major League calendar where you cannot afford to make that kind of a mistake. I know that there's unwritten rules. I know that there's retribution. You got to get back. You got to protect your guys. Giants can't do it right now, and it says a lot about where they are in the standings and where they are in this wild card race, that they can't afford to make that kind of mistake, in my opinion.
All right, I'll leave you guys with this. Who's going to hit more home runs, Aaron Judge or Cal Raleigh?
Ooh. Glenn?
I'm going to say, and I love what Cal Raleigh's doing. I think it's maybe the best individual player story in baseball this year. I'm going to say when it's all said and done, Judge will end up with more. And I think, unless Judge gets hurt or something, I can see a very close MVP race with Judge. Still, I think the leader, but not by a lot. So I'm going to say Judge will end up with more, and Judge will end up with an MVP. But they'll stay close, and it'll continue to be a great story. And you know what? A great baseball argument, great baseball discussion about the Judge and Raleigh. Who's more valuable thing. So I'm gonna stick with Judge on that one.
Yeah, I totally get the logic. I think that the vast majority of people would take Judge. I'm going to go with Raleigh in part, I think, just because I'm rooting for him. I really am. I would like to see a switch-hitting catcher do this. It's so rare, and Glenn mentioned this is really the best individual story of any player in baseball right now. And, Marty, the thing that gets to me about this, Cal Raleigh, an SEC catcher. Giants scout the SEC. 2018, what do they need in the draft? A catcher. Number 2 overall, they take Joey Bart. Cal Raleigh somehow slips to the 3rd round of that draft before the Seattle Mariners take him. 90 picks in. It's amazing that one of the best players in baseball was not even on the radar for any team in the first round. You can't fault the Giants. It was Joey Bart or Alec Boehm at the time with the number 2 overall pick. Cal Raleigh was never in the mix for that. And so it's just amazing to me to see how these things develop and how important scouting really is when you get down to the college and high school levels, huh?
Well, so you take Cal Raleigh. Well, you're wrong.
Oh, I knew you'd say it. I knew you'd say it. I even admitted Glenn will probably be right.
He plays in the wrong park. Come on.
Okay. How do you explain the 36 then?
Well, how many are on the road?
I'll get that math for you. I will.
But yeah,
Marty,
it's a
Marty,
good
you're such a
question.
lawyer, Marty. You're such a lawyer.
All right, we'll see. All right, good talking to you guys. This is going to be fun today. I love these games. I tell you, I do. I look forward to them. You know, it's A's Giants, and the A's good young team. The Giants need the wins. Birdsong the story, and you know, Adames is hitting, and you got all the kids on the other side. This is good stuff, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is. And I like watching these young A's hitters, as Kerry talked about before, because they do something that I just like, and I mentioned it about the Diamondback hitters on social media a couple nights ago, how they just attack the fastball, right? They see a pitch that they think can hit, even if it's a slider, they just attack it. And I love watching young hitters do that. And the A's, these young hitters, they do a pretty good job of being somewhat selective, but they see something they can hit, they let it rip, man, and it's kind of fun to watch.
Yeah, well said. And Marty, how about this? Cal Raleigh, 17 home runs at home, 18 on the road. It's sustainable.
All right. So he'll end up with 47. All right.
You know what? You're probably right on that. You probably are.
Hey, come on. If he hit 47, it would be, as Glenn said, it would be one of the stories of baseball over the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
To see something like that out of nowhere. All right. Well, guys, have a great afternoon. Glenn, a pleasure. And we'll catch up next week. And, Kerry, it's all yours.
All right. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Kerry.
Always fun visiting with Glenn, who's out there in West Sacramento right now. Marty with a terrific Talkin' Baseball. Got to listen on my way into the studio here, overlooking Marchbank Park here in Daly City, the KMBR studios. I am Kerry Crowley. Up next, we've got Giants warm-up for you. We'll talk about the 3 Giants All-Stars, all pitchers, and what this means for this organization headed down toward the All-Star break. 1 week to go until the Giants and the Dodgers wrap up the first half. I'm Kerry Crowley. You're listening to KMBR 104.5 680, the sports leader.
KMBR, the sports leader. Seam heads, start cracking those peanuts and spitting those seeds, because gloves are soon to be popping.
He makes a headlong dive and makes the catch.
And bats are going to get cracking.
Blast one! Deep right field! Gone!
Welcome to KNBR's Giants Warmup.
Way back there! Goodbye!
On the sports leader.
Here's the 0-2. Geloff strikes out swinging. Bivens gets a couple strikeouts, retires the A's 1-2-3 in the bottom of the ninth, and all the Giants fans who came here tonight in Sacramento have something to cheer about at the very end. The Giants with an impressive all-around performance, and they beat the A's by the final score of 7-2.
We are back. What's going on, folks? Kerry, Crowley hanging out with you this afternoon, getting you set for Giants baseball. First pitch coming your way at 7:05 p.m. Pacific time from West Sacramento. The Giants and the A's in the rubber match of this 3-game set between the former Bay Area rivals. It'll be Hayden Birdsong for the Giants, Jacob Lopez, the lefty, going for the Athletics. And we'll give you the lineups here in just a moment. Manager Bob Melvin has put his out. Hayden Birdsong, like we said, on the mound today, 3-3 with a 4.30 earned run average. 62 strikeouts, was outstanding out of the bullpen at the beginning of this season, but has struggled in his transition to the rotation, including his most recent start against the Arizona Diamondbacks. With the southpaw on the hill for the A's, Bob Melvin will go with Elliot Ramos, the left fielder at the top of the order. Ramos, not named an All-Star, a very competitive ballot in the National League. In the outfield, Corbin Carroll going, Fernando Tatis going, a number of very big talents, including James Wood of the Washington Nationals, who will make his first appearance in the All-Star game. But Ramos with a home run in last night's game, 14 on the season for the Giants, 47 runs batted in, 5 stolen bases, 274 average, and the Giants will absolutely take the 806 OPS that he's produced at the top of the order today. Rafael Devers, the big trade acquisition for San Francisco. He hits the number 2 slot in the order, designated hitter today, 17 homers, 67 runs batted in across 2 teams this year for Devers, 1 stolen base, a 262 average, and an 865 OPS. Leads all San Francisco Giants players. Wilmer Flores in the 3 spot today, playing first base against the lefty. Flores, 11 home runs, 55 runs driven in, a 238 average, and a 692 OPS. Hard to believe that the OPS has dipped all the way down to 692, but really, since his 3 home run performance against the A's in the middle of May, Flores has been one of the Giants' worst hitters. The OPS under 600 from that point on. The batting average under 200. Flores hoping to turn things around in the 3 spot in the lineup today. The Giants are thrilled to have Matt Chapman back in the order. He was back last night from his rehab assignment, a very brief one with AAA Sacramento. He was up in Reno playing against the Aces. Chapman in the cleanup spot today, the third baseman, 12 homers, 30 runs batted in, and 7 stolen bases. He was honestly kind of on an all-star track this year before he got waylaid by the injury that forced him to miss about a month. 245 average for Chapman and 816 OPS. The Giants hoping to see some more pop in the final week before the all-star break. Willie Adames, who was a big hitter for the Giants in last night's ballgame, he's hit well since the onset of the month of July. The shortstop hitting 5th tonight. 10 homers, 42 driven in for Adames. 4 stolen bases for the shortstop who signed a $182 million contract with the Giants this offseason. 225 average, and that OPS creeping its way up. 672 now. Giants would love to see it get all the way to 700 before the break for the Midsummer Classic. Luis Matos gets the start in center field today for Bob Melvin's ball club against the left-hander Lopez. Matos in the 6th slot in lineup. 4 homers, 7 runs batted in, 2 stolen bases. He does damage at AAA Sacramento's ballpark. That's one of the reasons he's been on and off the Giants roster over the last few seasons. 175 average this year in the majors for Matos and a 599 OPS. But he does have the ability to knock the ball out of that ballpark, especially against left-handed pitching. The Giants will have one left-hander in their lineup today outside of Rafael Devers, and it's Mike Yastrzemski, the right fielder, hitting 7th for this ball club. 8 homers, a couple coming in the last few weeks. 28 runs driven in, 6 stolen bases for Yaz, a 246 average, and a 727 OPS, right around his career numbers. Tyler Fitzgerald in the 8th slot in the lineup. Giants looking forward to getting Casey Schmidt back, but right now Fitzgerald, the second baseman, just 2 home runs on the season, 12 runs batted in, 9 stolen bases, nowhere near the numbers the Giants anticipated back when this season began, and he was handed the everyday second base job. A 227 average and a paltry 608 OPS. Giants would love to see that turn around, and for Fitzgerald to be able to fill the role of a super utility player during the second half of this season. Andrew Kisner, the catcher tonight for the Giants. He hits from the right side against the lefty Lopez. 1 homer, came at Dodger Stadium, 1 run batted in. It came, of course, on that home run. A 147 average and a 406 OPS for Kisner. Here's how Mark Kotze will set things up for the Athletics tonight in Sacramento. Lawrence Butler, the big power-hitting right fielder, leading things off. 11 homers, 35 driven in, and 14 stolen bases for Butler. He's fun to watch, and he's been on a tear of late. 256 average and a 759 OPS. He's followed, of course, by the All-Star, the starter at the shortstop position for the American League team, Jacob Wilson. 9 homers, 42 runs driven in, 5 stolen bases for Wilson, whose average is all the way up at 333 and 842 OPS for the player out of Grand Canyon University, son of former Pittsburgh Pirates shortstop Jack Wilson. Brent Rooker, also an all-star for the Athletics. He's in 3 spots today. The designated hitter has 18 home runs, 48 runs driven in, 2 stolen bases, a nice 273 average, and an 838 OPS to go with that. Just slightly below Wilson, who leads the team in that category. The rookie Nick Kurtz, the first baseman for the Athletics, 13 home runs since being called up from AAA, 35 runs driven in for the rookie, a 246 average, a nice 820 OPS. He's adjusted quite well to the major league level. He had a walk-off home run a few weeks ago. He just does damage. He's not someone you want to see with runners on base. The catcher, Shea Langoliers, will hit 5th for the A's. 12 homers, 31 driven in, 4 stolen bases for Langoliers out of the Baylor Bear program. 243 average, 764 OPS. Tyler Soderstrom, first-round draft pick back in 2020. He's the left fielder. He'll hit 6th for the A's. 14 homers, 48 driven in, 5 stolen bases. A lot of that damage coming in the month of April. He's tailed off a bit of late. 250 average, 755 OPS for Soderstrom. Of course, the son of former Giants relief pitcher Steve Soderstrom. Max Muncy, yes, another Max Muncy the Giants have to contend with. He's in the 7th spot tonight. The rookie third baseman will hit from the right side against Hayden Birdsong. 7 home runs, 20 driven in, 221 average, and a 662 OPS for Muncy. Zach Geloff in the 8th spot in the order, second baseman, making, I believe, his team debut last night, or at least in the course of the last week over the course of this season. He had a really good season a few years ago, but dealing with some injuries of late. And then Denzel Clark in the 9th spot in the order, who's just incredibly rangy in center field, has made some unbelievable catches. Truly a year and a career's worth of highlights all in the last few weeks for Clark in center field. Hit a tape measure home run on Friday night against the Giants in the A's blowout victory. 3 homers, 8 runs driven in, 5 stolen bases for Clark. Still struggling at the plate a little bit. 204 average and a 577 OPS. And it's Jacob Lopez, the young left-hander on the hill for Mark Kotze's squad. 2-4, a 3.88 earned run average, so he best Birdsong in that category, and 56 strikeouts on the season for Lopez. The big news of the day for the San Francisco Giants: 3 All-Stars. Yes, Logan Webb headed the All-Star game. That was a given. The ace of the San Francisco Giants rotation was so good in last night's ball game. 6 2/3 innings, 2 runs allowed, 7 strikeouts in his native Sacramento. Of course, the Rockland native pitching at one of the ballparks that he grew up going to. He was an A's fan as a kid, so pitching against a team that he grew up, of course, admiring, adoring, and he had the opportunity to go out and perform in front of a crowd that couldn't get enough of Logan Webb. Pitched his way through traffic several times and showed why he really is one of those valuable starters in all of Major League Baseball. Is he the best starter? Probably not. Does he have the best stuff of any pitcher in Major League Baseball? Almost certainly not. But is he the most valuable? I think you can make the case, given the innings that he throws on an annual basis, given the strikeouts that he's added this year, given the number of different looks that he has. Now with that cut fastball, joining the sinker, joining that frisbee slider, and of course the changeup that can be so devastating. I think Logan Webb gives the Giants so much front end of the rotation. 2nd consecutive year that he will be an all-star, and he will make one more start in the first half for this team. It'll come next weekend against the Los Angeles Dodgers. They'll need to win that ball game with Webb on the hill after he won for the 8th time this season on Saturday evening. They also were able to name Robbie Ray an all-star today for the 2nd time in Ray's career. Remember, Ray took home the Cy Young Award in 2021 with the Toronto Blue Jays, but he actually wasn't an all-star that season. This is the first time in 8 years that Ray has been named an all-star, the last time coming in 2017 with the Arizona Diamondbacks. So I think we can close the books on that trade with the Seattle Mariners. The Giants won that deal. One of Farhan Zaidi's best moves as the San Francisco Giants president of baseball operations was swapping Anthony DeSclafani and Mitch Haniger, 2 contracts that were underwater at that point, for Robbie Ray, who was, of course, coming back from Tommy John surgery up in Seattle with Jerry DiPoto's Mariners. The Mariners didn't want to wait. They wanted a starter who could help them right away. DeSclafani was not able to do that. They traded him right away to the Minnesota Twins. Mitch Haniger ended up being designated for assignment, and Robbie Ray has turned into one of the most valuable pitchers for this San Francisco Giants team and a key part of one of the best 1-2 punches in all of Major League Baseball. And then perhaps the surprise all-star today for the Giants, Randy Rodriguez, the second-year reliever named to the National League team, voted on by players, received the most votes of any reliever in the National League, including the 2 others who were named to the squad: Edwin Diaz, longtime closer of the New York Mets, and the setup man for the San Diego Padres, Jason Adams. So Adam gets the All-Star nod, but it was Randy Rodriguez with that .72 earned run average. He has been so good. He's given up just one earned run in the last 2+ months for the San Francisco Giants. He is Bob Melvin's fireman. Melvin was making the case that Tyler Rogers belongs in the All-Star game, and maybe that will happen if a starting pitcher or two drop out, if a number of guys are not able to perform the Midsummer Classic. But no question in my mind that Rodriguez has been exactly what this bullpen has needed so far this season. The Giants would love to see him continue this string of success during the second half of the season. But an unexpected development for the Giants that Randy Rodriguez would morph into an All-Star this year. The first Giants reliever to make the All-Star game since since Will Smith did so in 2019. Brian Wilson, of course, an All-Star a couple of times back during the golden era of the Giants dynasty years. But this is the first time the Giants have had 3 All-Star pitchers since the year 2011, year after the Giants, of course, won their first of 3 titles in 5 seasons. They sent Tim Lincecum, they sent Matt Cain, and they sent Ryan Vogelsong to the All-Star game along with Brian Wilson. So they actually had 4 pitchers on that 2011 All-Star team. Pablo Sandoval made the squad that year, and Bruce Bochy was the manager for that squad. So the Giants have waited a while. This is their first time with 3 All-Stars since 2011 when they sent Buster Posey, Kevin Gossman, and Brandon Crawford as well. So just a really, really nice development for this team, for this ball club. It's a testament to the great ball that they've played during the first half of this season, the great pitching that has carried them through the first half of this season. So a lot more to get back to when we come back here. We'll take you through scores around Major League Baseball from series finales on Sunday afternoon. A week to go until the All-Star break. The Giants trying to gain some ground in the standings. The Dodgers already lost today, so they've got an opportunity to do so. They've got to take care of business in West Sacramento against an A's team that's well under 500 and against another team that they should be beating at this juncture of the season. I'm Kerry Crowley. The show is Giants Warmup. We'll take your calls in the 5 o'clock hour here on KBR 104.5 680, the sports leader.
back to the show built for the orange and black family. This is Giants Warmup on KNBR, the sports leader.
2-2. Swing and a miss, strike three. Clark goes down. Webb gets the strikeout, and the A's do not score. There were boats everywhere on the river, lit up in the holiday colors. 4th of July fun here in Sacramento. 5th of July, the Giants themselves are enjoying a little bit more.
That was pretty cool. I was wish I'd give like a wave or something, but it's always awkward in those moments. I don't know why. You don't know whether or not to wave or do something, and but I feel the love from the Sacramento crowd, and yeah, it's like I said, it was awesome to pitch at home.
Logan Webb gets win number 8 on Saturday evening in Sacramento in front of the hometown fans. And then on Sunday, he's named to his second All-Star team. Back-to-back seasons, the Giants ace will represent the club in the Midsummer Classic. If you're just joining us here on Giants Warmup, welcome. I'm Kerry Crowley. The Giants had 3 All-Stars named today. It's Webb, it's left-hander Robbie Ray, and it's young right-handed reliever Randy Rodriguez, who brings that power fastball slider combination to Atlanta next week. Very much looking forward to seeing if Rodriguez can get into that ball game. Before we give you an update on All-Stars from around Major League Baseball, we're going to give you an update on scores from around the league here on Sunday afternoon. First pitch, by the way, coming your way this evening, 7:05 p.m. Pacific time. If you're wondering why the Giants are playing on Sunday night and it's Sunday Night Baseball, or it's not Sunday Night Baseball, well, it's because the Athletics are a franchise that John Fisher pulled out of Oakland, sent to Sacramento, and forced to play in the summer heat. And so they're trying to avoid the sunshine this afternoon. They're trying to get this game underway at 7:05 p.m. Pacific time. Jacob Lopez will be taking the hill for the A's, and Hayden Birdsong will oppose him for the San Francisco Giants. There was a rain delay this afternoon at Wrigley Field, but the Cubs and the Cardinals are finally underway. Eric Fetty on the hill for St. Louis right now at 48 and 42, very much in the mix in the NL wildcard race. Cubs lead at 1-0 right now. 1-0, of course. 53 and 36 the Cubs are at the moment, 29 and 16 at home. Cubs trying to add to that lead right now as Matt Shaw is at the plate, runner on second base, and just one out in the bottom of the second inning. Sunday Night Baseball this evening coming your way from Petco Park. It's Jack Leiter going for the Texas Rangers. Morgan going for the San Diego Padres. Padres at 47 and 41, also in the NL wildcard race. The Rangers, meanwhile, they could be a team that could be trading at this year's deadline. I think there's a lot of pitchers on that team who could be helpful for other clubs, including the San Francisco Giants. One guy on that Rangers roster who I think makes a ton of sense, Hobie Milner. If you don't know his name, he's a left-handed reliever. He's been in 41 games this season. He's got an ERA under 2.5 right now. Bruce Bochy, of course, the manager of the Rangers, probably knows that team's not going anywhere. Chris Young, the president of baseball operations, like Buster Posey, a former player, probably knows that team's not going anywhere. I think that Milner, who will be a free agent this offseason, could be had for relative cheap. He's 34 years old and having a good season right now. Some of the finals from around Major League Baseball. Baltimore Orioles won 2-1 today over the Atlanta Braves, who were just in a tailspin. The Braves, 39 and 50, 11 games out. Trevor Rogers, former Marlins left-hander, shut them down. Rogers now 2-0 with a 1.57 earned run average since returning from the injury list. Sir Anthony Dominguez, former Phillies prospect, picked up save number 2 in the Orioles bullpen today. Grant Holmes took the loss for the Braves. 6-4, the Red Sox were winners over the Washington Nationals this afternoon. Garrett Crochet gets the win, 9-4, a 2.39 earned run average. He's headed to the All-Star game. How about this? Jordan Hicks, save number 1 for the Boston Red Sox. So, Rafael Devers hitting home runs for the San Francisco Giants. Jordan Hicks picking up saves out of the bullpen for the Boston Red Sox. We're now 46 and 45 after today's win. And today's loss, apparently for the Nationals, so egregious that both general manager Davey Martinez, their field manager Davey Martinez, and their general manager Mike Rizzo were fired. Long time in Washington with that Nationals organization. Of course, they won the 2019 World Series. There was chatter at the time during that season when the Nationals got off to the 19-31 start. They were going to fire Davey Martinez. They were a few days away from doing so. Then all of a sudden they go on and they win the World Series, one of the most remarkable comebacks in Major League Baseball that season. They were a special, special story. But it's a franchise that's just done nothing over the last 5-6 seasons. And it's incredibly apparent to me they weren't able to capitalize on what was a lopsided Juan Soto trade in their favor. They gave away one of the best talents in all of baseball in Juan Soto. They picked up C.J. Abrams, their starting shortstop. They picked up James Wood, an all-star outfielder in the National League who just clobbers home runs. They picked up Robert Hassel, a top outfield prospect. They picked up Mackenzie Gore, who just made his first all-star team as a starting pitcher. And outside of that Juan Soto trade, it looks like Mike Rizzo has done nothing to improve that roster. They've got like 7 relievers on the injured list this season. They've done nothing in the rotation. It is astonishing that the Nationals haven't been able to gain some ground after making that Juan Soto trade and really winning that Juan Soto trade, because he goes to the Padres, then he ends up on the Yankees. Padres gave up a ton to use him for such a small and short period of time. Nevertheless, I digress. Let's move on with other scores around Major League Baseball. Philadelphia Phillies continued their winning ways today, took down the Cincinnati Reds. Zach Wheeler is just sensational right now. Speaking of National League All-Stars, he's 9-3 with a 2.17 earned run average. And for my money, he's actually moved ahead of Logan Webb in the Cy Young race. Yes, he has been so good of late that I think both Wheeler and Paul Skeens are slightly ahead of Logan Webb right now, who I would put number 3 in NL Cy Young contention. The Reds fall to 46-44 after the loss. They managed just 1 hit against Wheeler, who was just amazing yet again. Phillies 16 games over 500. Perhaps the only piece of good news coming out of the Phillies win today, the Giants won't face Zach Wheeler Monday evening in San Francisco. Phillies won that ball game. They're flying across the country right now. So the Phillies making that coast-to-coast trip. Giants hoping to take advantage of that on Monday evenings. They'll just have that short commute back from Sacramento. Though there should be a lot of Tahoe traffic coming back this evening, so we'll see if the Giants can avoid some of that later on this evening on I-80. The Toronto Blue Jays had a big win today, 3-2 over the Los Angeles Angels. Ryan Burr got the win out of the bullpen for Toronto. Tyler Anderson takes the loss for Los Angeles, and Jeff Hoffman saved number 22, and he saved the day when third baseman Addison Barger made an incredible diving play to end that ball game. How about this? The Toronto Blue Jays, 14 games over 500. They've taken first place in the American League East. It was just a few weeks ago that it sounded like the New York Yankees were going to run away with that division. Yankees are sitting in third right now. The Blue Jays have passed them. The Tampa Bay Rays have passed them. Those Yankees deadline sellers? I'm kidding. That's not going to happen. Detroit Tigers take it 7-2 today over the Cleveland Guardians, who've now lost 10 in a row. Final in 10 innings in that ball game. I think Tarek Skubal threw that game for the Tigers, who are 57-34. They'll get to 60 wins before the break if they have a good week. 40-48, the Cleveland Guardians now in that series loss at Oracle Park that the Giants had to Cleveland just a few weeks ago. It's looming large right now as a reason they've not been able to pull away in this NL wildcard race. The Milwaukee Brewers got a great start today. And, of course, a 3-1 win over the Miami Marlins from Brandon Woodruff, who made his long-awaited return from the injured list. Woodruff has dealt with a variety of shoulder issues over the last few years, and he was throwing 100 miles an hour early in that ball game. Great to see his success. Edward Cabrera takes the loss for the Miami Marlins, who I think Giants ought to target at the trade deadline. I don't think they will. He's got a few years of team control left, 3-3, 3.33 earned run average for Cabrera, but he shut him down twice this season. He's fun to watch. McGill gets save number 20 for Milwaukee. 50-40 the Brewers are right now. They lead the NL wildcard race. New York Yankees took it today 6-4 over the New York Mets. Yankees 49-41 now. Max Fried picks up win number 11. 11-2 with a 2.27 ERA. It was reliever Zach Pop who blew the game for the Mets. Devin Williams picks up save number 12 out of the bullpen for the Yankees. The Mets now at 52-39. I said that the Brewers were leading the NL wildcard race. That is not the case. The Brewers are in second place in the NL wildcard race. It's the Mets leading the wildcard race at 52-39. They're about a game and a half behind the Philadelphia Phillies, if my math is correct, in the NL East. The Rays won 7-5 in 10 innings at Target Field today over the Minnesota Twins. Peter Fairbanks gets the win in that one. Topa takes the loss out of that Twins bullpen. The Rays 49-41 right now, so tied for second with the Yankees in that AL East. And the Twins, I mean, that series sweep the Giants had at Target Field, that's another one that just looms large. Their inability to beat these AL Central teams, it's embarrassing right now. It's just the fact that they've struggled against the Royals, the series they lost at home. The Tigers, they were swept in Detroit, which is understandable. The Tigers are, 17 games over 500. The Guardians, team that's lost 10 in a row, they lose 2 of 3 at home. The Twins swept in Minnesota. The White Sox, they lose 2 of 3 on the road. Giants will be happy they don't see the AL Central the rest of the season. Speaking of the AL Central, the Rockies won 6-4 today in a matchup that I'm sure you all watched very closely over the Chicago White Sox. The Rockies 21-69 now. The White Sox 30-60. Seth Smith took the loss for Chicago. He's 3-7 with a 4.20 ERA. Rule 5 draft pick was named an All-Star today. He's the representative for the Chicago White Sox. The Kansas City Royals beat the Arizona Diamondbacks 4-0. Michael Lorenzen picks up the win in that ball game. He improves to 5-8 with a 4.61 earned run average. Anthony DeSclafani, former Giant, takes the loss in that ball game. He was pitching out of the bullpen just a few weeks ago for Torey Lovello's squad, but he's now pitching out of the starting rotation. 0-1 with a 6.08 earned run average. D-backs mustered just 3 hits in that ball game. Arizona 44-46. And if they can't turn it around, they could be one of the most intriguing teams at this year's trade deadline. Eugenio Suarez, third baseman. He could be on the move. Zach Gallen, former ace. He could be on the move. Merrill Kelly, giant killer in that starting rotation. He could be on the move. So they are a team to watch come July 31st. A couple more games to tell you about. Seattle Mariners won it 1-0 today over the Pittsburgh Pirates. You can hear the laugh in my tone there. George Kirby gets the win because Paul Skeens threw a dandy. 5 innings, 10 strikeouts, no earned runs, and he takes a no decision. Skeens 4-9 on the season with a sub-2 ERA. It is amazing how little run support the Pittsburgh Pirates give their ace. 38-53 the Pirates are now. Seattle Mariners sitting at 48-42 after the win today. Andres Munoz picks up save number 21. And the real standout play from that ball game, I've seen it going around. It's reached viral proportions on social media right now. O'Neal Cruz in center field in the early innings today threw 105 mile per hour. Yes, that's correct. 105 mile per hour bullet to home plate to get J.P. Crawford, the Mariners shortstop, who's coming in standing up to home plate on a single into left center field. He thought he'd score with ease. Crawford was stunned when Henry Davis, the catcher, applied a tag at the last moment on an absolute laser from O'Neal Cruz, who oftentimes makes low lights in center field for his inability to chase after baseballs, letting balls get by him in the outfield. But he has an absolute cannon of an arm, and he showed that off this afternoon. One final score to tell you about. The Houston Astros beat the Los Angeles Dodgers 5-1 today. It's Gusto taking the win. Klein takes the loss for the Dodgers. The Dodgers 56-35 now, 21 over 500. The Astros, meanwhile, team the Giants swept during the first week of the season. The Astros are 20 games over. What a job they've done in climbing back into that AL race, climbing back into it. Heck, they're in control of the American League West right now with the work that they've put in over the last month and a half or so to really climb up those AL West standings. So that's it for scores around Major League Baseball. When we come back, we will run you through the All-Star teams. We will also take your phone calls. 415-808-KMBR is the number. Any thoughts on the All-Star teams? Any ideas about what MLB should change? And any early indications of what the Giants should do at the trade deadline? What's the biggest need that Buster Posey and Zach Manassian should address? We'll get into that here in the 5 o'clock hour. First pitch coming your way in a little less than 2 hours here on KMBR. It's Jacob Lopez going for the Athletics in West Sacramento. Hayden Birdsong opposes him for the San Francisco Giants. Giants need the series win tonight in Sacramento. First pitch at 7:05 p.m. Pacific time. You're listening to KMBR 104.5, 680, the sports leader.
Too far away as KNBR's Giants warm-up continues on the sports leader.
Elliot Ramos against Severino still in the game, and Ramos swings at the first pitch, drives one to deep center field. Denzel Clark back at the wall, and it's gone! Elliot Ramos! First pitch of the fifth inning. 5-1 Giants.
We are back here on Giants Warmup. Kerry, Crowley rolling with you until the start of our Giants pregame show. Coming your way at 6:05 p.m. Pacific time tonight. First pitch from West Sacramento. Game 3 of a 3-game set between the Giants and the Athletics will be thrown at 7:05 p.m. Jacob Lopez on the hill for the A's. Hayden Birdsong opposes him for the San Francisco Giants. And a big one for the Giants as they try to take a step forward in the NL wildcard race. Think about this for a moment. Giants have wasted opportunities against the Marlins, against the White Sox. You could throw the Guardians and the Royals in there over the last month, 2 months. You can't miss this chance against the A's. You lose on Friday night in blowout fashion. It sets you back. But you absolutely cannot lose 2 of 3 in Sacramento at this minor league ballpark where the A's have had the worst home record of any team in Major League Baseball this season. Giants cannot afford to lose this. So Hayden Birdsong's got to come up big for this ball club. Logan Webb did last night, and Logan Webb throws 6 2/3 innings the night before he is announced as an all-star for the second time in his career. Oh, so deserving for a pitcher who I've made the case that this offseason, the Giants ought to rip up that extension that they gave him just a few years ago. 5 years, $90 million, and they ought to reward him like one of the best pitchers in starting baseball, which is exactly what he is right now. There's no reason. They don't have to do it. They could say, play out this contract, hit free agency at the end of this 5-year run, and we'll see where you are at that point. I think they ought to say, 6 years, $200 million, we're going to pay you like the star that you are. And Major League Baseball confirming that Webb belongs in the elite of the elite by naming him an all-star today, along with Robbie Ray, who's having an outstanding season for the Giants this year. I think the Giants are something like 14-4 in Ray's 18 starts this season. And then there's Randy Rodriguez, who's named to his first career all-star squad. And you never know as a reliever how many times that opportunity will come around. Think about it. Each team has, 7, 8 guys in their bullpen. So you're looking at 15 teams, more than 150, 200 relievers used in each league during the first half of each season. And the fact that 3 are named to an all-star team, you got to be in the 0.1% of the 1%. That's how good Randy Rodriguez has been for this ball club. And a .72 ERA suggests that there's essentially been no one better. He receives the most votes of any National League reliever from Major League Baseball players to earn that all-star nod. This is someone who a year ago was pitching in games that the Giants were losing. He was a rookie. He was coming up. His ERA was around 4.5, and he was essentially eating innings in some games for the Giants down the stretch. He was not throwing in the highest leverage situations, and now he's become, quite simply, the most trusted arm when the Giants are in trouble. Last night, Logan Webb gets into a jam in the 7th. Who does Bob Melvin go to? Randy Rodriguez. Because when there are runners on base, and when you need a strikeout, and when you need someone to simply throw strikes and be competitive out of the bullpen, in the National League in the year 2025, there's been no one better than Randy Rodriguez. This is a great story, too, because Rodriguez has come through this Giants farm system. He was signed and developed by the San Francisco Giants organization out of the Dominican Republic, which is an area that, historically speaking, the Giants have not, in the last quarter century, scouted, signed, and developed all that well. You look at what the Giants have received out of Latin America and the resources they put in to the Dominican, to Venezuela, to Colombia, to other countries that are baseball rich in terms of talent, and what they've gotten out. And the return on investment hasn't necessarily been in the Giants' favor. You think of all the superstars around the game of baseball and how many come out of countries like the Dominican Republic, and how few players the Giants really had turn into impact guys. And Randy Rodriguez is absolutely one of them. Obviously, of this last quarter century, the very best has been Pablo Sandoval. Signed out of Venezuela in the year 2003, goes on to become a 3-time World Series champion with the Giants, comes back and provides veteran leadership in the back half of the 2010s. He's a truly great story. The fact that Sandoval's still playing baseball, playing for like the Long Island Ferry Hawks out there in the Atlantic League, incredible. But outside of Sandoval, there's about a 10, 15, nearly 20-year gap before the Giants received meaningful contributions from players who'd come through the farm system and been signed, drafted, and developed in Latin America. Yeah, it essentially went from Pablo Sandoval to Camilo Doval before there was someone who was regularly making an impact on a day-to-day basis for this ball club. And of course, a few years ago, 2023, Doval earns an all-star nod. That was significant for the Giants. He's the closer, but Rodriguez following in those footsteps, taking on high-leverage opportunities and showing that the investment in Latin America has been incredibly important and can be very valuable for the San Francisco Giants. And you want to see these type of success stories because when you have your academy down there in the Dominican Republic, when you've got coaches and trainers and folks teaching English down there, you want it to be an area where you can go out and you can scout, you can sign players, and you can turn them into major leaguers at a better rate than any other organization. You think about the incredible players the Giants have had come through this organization since 1958. You think about the Alou brothers. You think about Juan Marichal. Think about Orlando Cepeda. All of the players who've come through the organization who came from Latin America. This is a franchise with an extremely rich tradition and history that for about 10 to 15 years really fell into a drought, fell behind the rest of Major League Baseball. And so I think the selection of Randy Rodriguez, the All-Star game today, is a critical moment for this franchise and deserves to be celebrated. Because there are folks who've been working extremely hard to ensure that the Giants are signing the right players, are taking the right steps in development, are bringing players over to the United States, making an extremely difficult transition at 18, 19, 20, 21 years old, going from the Dominican Republic and then coming to Arizona to play in the complex league, and then working your way up through the minor leagues. You go from low A to high A to double A to triple A. We all know the story, but we don't know how difficult it is to make that transition as a teenager from speaking Spanish your whole life in the Dominican Republic or Venezuela, Colombia, or some of these other countries the Giants scout out of, and then coming over at 18, 19 years old and experiencing life in the Arizona desert heat, which is really what the complex league is all about. There's almost no fans. It's unlike anything these players have ever experienced, and it is the lowest rung on the domestic ladder toward Major League Baseball. When you're playing in the complex league at 18, 19, you were years away. That's where Randy Rodriguez was 5-6 years ago for the Giants. The hope of Major League Baseball is nothing more than potential. It's nothing more than looking years down the road and seeing what you think you could become. There are no guarantees for so many of these players. The vast majority don't pan out. They don't become major leaguers. They've given away precious years of their lives to trying to reach this goal, try to achieve this dream. And for so many, it doesn't end up the fairy tale that we often see play out in Major League Baseball. But for Randy Rodriguez, today marks an incredibly special time because he receives that validation that it's not just the ERA, it's not just the strikeout totals, it's not just the wins in which he pitches for the San Francisco Giants that prove he's valuable. Receiving the All-Star nod that he did showed that he is among the best in baseball. He belongs in that elite tier. And he can go with teammates Logan Webb and Robbie Ray, established Major League veterans, and hold his own at the Midsummer Classic in Atlanta next week. What a story it is for Rodriguez. What a testament to the player development staff inside this Giants organization. This is all possible. But with 3 pitchers making this all-star roster for the San Francisco Giants, there are other players who today probably felt a significant sense of disappointment. And you go back to the month of April, and if you're Wilmer Flores, if you're Jung-Hoo Lee, you're thinking, I might have what it takes to get to Atlanta this year. And sitting here on Sunday, July 6th, neither player ended up anywhere close to an all-star. Flores is at under 200 with a sub-600 OPS for the last month and a half. Jung-Hoo Lee, who looked like an MVP candidate after the Giants left Yankee Stadium in April taking a series. He's completely fallen off at the plate. He's not starting today's ball game as the Giants take on a left-handed pitcher in Jacob Lopez, and he is searching to find it. A player who once had dreams and visions of coming over from South Korea and becoming an all-star, that will have to wait at least one more season. So Flores and Lee, they open the year with high hopes, and they enter this week, the final week of the first half, searching and struggling to get back on track at the plate, to regain the groove that had them on that all-star track way back in the first month of the season. Then there are players who've experienced different types of changes over the course of this 2025 season. One being Rafael Devers, who at the time of the stunning blockbuster trade from the Boston Red Sox was leading all American League vote getters in the All-Star race. He comes over to San Francisco, joins the Giants. Those votes get slotted in and counted. The DH position in the National League. And, oh, by the way, Shohei Ohtani, the sport's biggest superstar, one of the top global superstars in all of sports, just happens to play the same position. So good luck, Rafi. You're not an all-star. Then there's Matt Chapman, who was vying and on an all-star track the time that he got hurt in early June. He was playing better defense. He was looking like he'd found something at the plate. After some struggles at the beginning of the season, Matt Chapman had very much put himself on the path to being in contention for the all-star roster in the National League. If not a starter at third base, at least a reserve candidate. And that's not the case. He's thrilled to be back in San Francisco with the Giants. He's thrilled to be back and on the diamond like he was last night for the first time in several weeks. But Chapman probably wanted to be back in that Midsummer Classic, playing with the elite tier of players where, you know, you look at his contract, 6 years, $151 million, the extension that he signed with the San Francisco Giants last September. He should be in consideration each and every year because he's paid to be that caliber of player for the San Francisco Giants. And then there are the players who are never in it at all. A Willy Adames, 7 years, $182 million. He comes to San Francisco with the expectation that he will be an all-star caliber player. And he never sniffed all-star consideration this year. He started to turn things around over the last week, but how sustainable is that? Can you get that OPS up over 700 before the end of the first half of the season? That is the challenge for Adames, who's brought it up about 30 points in the last week to 676. It's nowhere near where it needs to be. But for Adames, there are far bigger goals than being the all-star shortstop in the National League at this juncture. You got to get back on track. You have to sustain success. You have to be one of the most trusted hitters in the order for Bob Melvin. He was last night driving in the first 4 runs for the San Francisco Giants, but it's a different road for him this season. The All-Star game probably didn't cross his mind over the last few weeks. So you've got players in different buckets. The All-Stars, the guys who've made it, the two-timers and Ray and Webb. You got Randy Rodriguez living the dream out of Dominican Republic, second year in the majors, and he's followed in the footsteps of Camilo Doval and made the All-Star team as a reliever, the first non-closer in San Francisco Giants history to make the game as a reliever. Then you've got the players who started off incredibly hot and ultimately weren't considered. Wilmer Flores and Jung-Hoo Lee, the players who anchored the Giants roster in the month of April, and they fell off in May and June. Then you've got the players who probably had high enough hopes in Devers and Chapman, when things just didn't work out in their favor. When crunch time came about, Devers was traded and slotted in behind Ohtani. Chapman was injured and lost ground. You've got Adames, who entered the year with expectations but couldn't live up to them, at least hasn't done so through the first 90-plus games this season. And then, of course, there are the players who probably shouldn't give up hope just yet. You think about Elliot Ramos and what he's done in the outfield for the San Francisco Giants this season. He played better defense. Maybe he's there. Maybe the WAR number a little bit higher. Maybe he's in consideration as a potential all-star reserve. Think about Tyler Rogers having the best season of his career to date. Someone who's very much living out the dream at the major league level. I mean, he spent 4 years at AAA Sacramento. He only got the call in 2019 because the Giants were terrible at the end of that season. He was passed over in the Rule 5 draft. Every other organization in Major League Baseball could have had Tyler Rogers on their roster 2018 and 2019. They just didn't believe that the submarine pitcher belonged to the majors. Giants finally promoted him, and they themselves didn't expect Rogers to become this important in the bullpen. And now he's got a sub 1.75 earned run average. And if any pitcher asks out or any pitcher becomes ineligible by throwing next Sunday, Rogers very much in line to be a candidate. It's unlikely that either he or Ramos will be in the Midsummer Classic, but it's not out of the realm of possibilities. The Giants could have a fourth All-Star at some point. But today is about celebrating the three guys who did make that All-Star game. In Webb, the anchor of this Giants team, the anchor of this staff, and the face of this franchise at the moment. In Ray, who's charted quite a course of his own, coming over from the Seattle Mariners in a trade. They gave up on him coming off of Tommy John surgery, and he has regained the form that he found back in 2021 when he was the Cy Young Award winner in the American League. And then there's Randy Rodriguez, we've touched on throughout this segment, and whose journey deserves yet another tip of the hat from the San Francisco Giants fan base. I am Kerry Crowley. The show we are hosting today is Giants Warmup. When we come back, we'll take your phone calls, 415-808-KMBR. We'll talk a little bit about the Major League Baseball trade deadline. Coming up July 31st, just a few weeks from now. What, in your opinion, should be the Giants' biggest priority, and who out there would you like to see come to the San Francisco Giants? Which selling teams do you think have players to offer for Buster Posey and Zach Manasseh to go pick up and add to this franchise? We're hanging out with you until pregame show starts at 6:05. I'll hang out with you a little bit longer, and then first pitch, 7:05 this evening from West Sacramento. Sutter Health Park, the Giants and the Athletics rubber match. You're on KBR 104.5 680, the sports leader.
keeps rolling on the Sports Leader.
Run of the game. Adames up the middle, base hit. Devers will score. Chapman around third, and he's going to score. Willie Adames. That's huge. A 2-out, 2-strike, 2-run hit. The Giants take a 2-0 lead. 1-2. He rips this one into left field, base hit. Chapman scores. Around third, Lee. Here comes the throw. Lee slides. He is safe. He was called out, but Langoliers dropped the ball. So Lee scores. Into second, Adames. Another 2-run hit for Willie Adames. It's 4-1 Giants.
If 4th of July was a disaster for the Giants in West Sacramento, the 5th of July was a grand old time. I'm Kerry Crowley. We're back here on Giants Warmup. We've got one more highlight to play for you from Saturday evening's ball game, a 7-2 win for the San Francisco Giants. It is our home run of the week, sponsored by Pacific Catch, the Bay's favorite seafood destination. Kyle, what is our home run of the week this week?
Elliot Ramos against Severino still in the game, and Ramos swings at the first pitch, drives one to deep center field. Denzel Clark back at the wall, and it's gone! Elliot Ramos! First pitch of the 5th inning. 5-1 Giants.
Home run number 14 for Ramos on the season. He'd been hit earlier in the ball game, and he gets his own revenge against the Athletics. He seems to have a magnet for the left front side of his body when he's standing there in the right-handed batter's box. He's been hit more than any other Giants player this season. He crowds the plate ever so slightly. He hovers over it, but the Giants will absolutely take it for Ramos hitting the home run in that ball game. They will take the Logan Webb start. They will take the victory, headed into today's ball game with an opportunity to win the series, and it's a series the Giants cannot afford to lose. This is a team that has been in the midst of a rough stretch of play over the last month. They've got to start winning series. They started to turn things around with back-to-back wins in Arizona to split that series when things were starting to look really ugly for this ball club. But then they turn around and they lose on Friday night in blowout fashion. Justin Verlander, 0 for 14 this season. Hasn't won a ball game the longest stretch by any Giant starting pitcher to open the season. And really, no other Giants pitcher would ever be afforded that many opportunities. How many guys come into a year and are just given chance after chance to try to win a ball game? Justin Verlander at 42 years old has been given that by the San Francisco Giants, but you wonder how much longer that will go on. And Hayden Birdsong taking them out tonight. I kind of wondered if the Giants were going to make a change in the rotation after a dismal start in Arizona, but he's getting another chance in a ballpark he knows well in Sacramento, and he's got the opportunity to help lead the Giants to a series victory before the Philadelphia Phillies coming to town, and the Giants facing the right portion of the Phillies rotation. I took a quick peek at things. They've got Christopher Sanchez going on Monday for Philadelphia. He's been great this season. 7-2, 2.68 earned run average, 108 strikeouts. So they won't get Ranger Suarez, and they won't get Zach Wheeler, but they've got Taijuan Walker on Tuesday, 3-5, 3.64 earned run average, and Jesus Luzardo, who's really struggled of late, 7-4. 4.44 earned run average, 115 strikeouts this season for Luzardo, but he was racking them up early in the year. He's been much more hittable of late, had a bad outing against the Reds the other day. He will pitch on Wednesday for the Phillies. The Giants will have Landon Roop going on Monday, and then I believe they will go with Robbie Ray on Tuesday. You will see Hayden Birdsong, you will see Justin Verlander on Wednesday for the San Francisco Giants before they end this 16-game in 16-day stretch with the off day on Thursday before hosting the Dodgers for 3 games to wrap up the first half. And don't forget, next Sunday, after the Giants take on the Dodgers, it's the first round of the Major League Baseball player draft, the amateur draft. So I'm sure you've all been doing your mocks. I'm sure you're all ready to go. And who knows, maybe Mike Holler will let me host a draft special that day. We shall see, as Bill Lasky will be doing extra innings that night. So probably best that you hear Giants-Dodgers commentary from Bill and not in-depth draft commentary from yours truly. So we'd love to hear from you. 415-808-CAMBR is the number. First pitch coming your way, 7:05 p.m. Pacific time this evening. Jacob Lopez going for the Athletics. Hayden Birdsong for the San Francisco Giants. Pre-game show starts officially at 6:05, but we're just cruising with you here on Giants Warmup. Later on in this hour, we will give you the lineups one more time. We'll give you the scores from around Major League Baseball as well. One thing that I wanted to do just during this segment is touch on some of the bigger names that could be moving at this year's trade deadline. Obviously, the Giants have already made what probably will be the biggest splash that we can expect in Major League Baseball this year. By acquiring Rafael Devers back in the middle of June, they were down at Dodger Stadium. It was moments before Kyle Harrison was set to make his start. And then he found out his life was being uprooted. He was traded to Boston as part of a 4-for-1 deal that sent Jose Bayo, the young prospect, James Tibbs III, first-round draft pick of the Giants last year, and Jordan Hicks, who picked up a save today for the Red Sox, to Boston in that deal for Devers, who's got 8+ years remaining on his contract, $250 million remaining on a contract extension he signed just a few years ago with the Boston Red Sox. So a major, major deal, and almost nothing that could go down at this year's trade deadline will compare to what the Giants and the Red Sox were able to achieve in terms of the shock value. It wasn't quite Luka Doncic to the Lakers, but it was one of the most fascinating trades in baseball that we've seen of the last decade plus. So with that trade in the books, some of the other names who could be moved here in the coming weeks, Sandy Alcantara, right-hander for the Miami Marlins, under contract in 25 and 26. He's got a club option or buyout for 27. He struggled this year, but he has been good of late. In his last 4 starts, 23 innings with a 2.74 earned run average. He was really bad at the beginning of the season. The Miami Marlins likely to trade him. The Chicago Cubs are the team that are rumored to be in the mix for Alcantara. I don't see the Giants going for him right now because I think that salary is a bit too high. I think they'll play at the lower end of the free agent market in terms of the starting pitchers that they'll look to acquire. It's another reason I don't think Mitch Keller, who's under contract on an extension with the Pittsburgh Pirates, owed $15 million this season, $16.5 next year, and then $18 in 2027 before $20 in 2028. I don't think Mitch Keller will be a pitcher the Giants will be interested in acquiring just because of that hefty price tag that comes with him. But you get kind of beyond those 2 stars at the front end of the list. There's a number of guys who I absolutely think could fit this San Francisco ball club, including Andrew Heaney, left-hander for the Pittsburgh Pirates. He's owed $5.25 million this year. He's a free agent at the end of the season. He's been throwing a sinker a lot, according to MLB trade rumors. And Heaney, I think, could be an answer. The Giants obviously lose that second lefty in their rotation by trading Kyle Harrison away to the Boston Red Sox. Pirates will want a good prospect. There's no doubt about that. There'll be a lot of other teams in the market for starting pitching. Probably the Cubs, the Dodgers come to mind as well. But I just think that the Giants and Buster Posey ought to go out and consider a starting pitcher. So if you're of that mindset, 415-808-KMBR is the number. Would love for you to call in, dial us up, and let us know who you'd like on the market. A few weeks ago, I said Tyler Mahle of the Texas Rangers, but he's on the 60-day IL, 2.34 earned run average. So I don't know if Mahle's expected back this season, but that is not good news in terms of players the Giants will be looking at. Another guy who could be a candidate for a trade this summer, who's pitching for the the Sacramento Athletics at the moment, Jeffrey Springs, left-hander, has been great this year, 4.30 earned run average, even though, he's been pitching in Sacramento. Obviously, his road numbers are better than his home numbers. But the former Tampa Bay Rays starter was making $10.5 million this season. You'd have to pay down about $4 million of that if you acquire him close to July 31st. Jeffrey Springs, a name who could come up if the Giants and the A's are going to make the rare, I was going to say Bay Area trade, but now it's a Northern California trade, at least for the moment. Another player whose name has popped up in these rumors, according to MLB trade rumors, Seth Lugo of the Kansas City Royals, owed $15 million this season, but he's got a $15 million player option for next year. With the way that Lugo's been pitching this year, I think that he is a candidate to potentially opt out and earn more money in free agency next offseason. He's been really good since transitioning into the starting rotation for Kansas City. He was pitching out of the bullpen for a few different teams, the Padres and the Mets. Kansas City threw him 3 years and $45 million a couple of seasons ago, and they said, hey, come here, start, get your career back on track in that way. And I think very much it's realistic that he could opt out and pursue a multi-year deal where he's making more than $15 million. So the Giants could take that gamble with Lugo, but any acquiring team would, of course, deal with the possibility that he could be an injury risk. Some of the other names, Herman Marquez of the Colorado Rockies, he's been awful, I think, throughout much of this season. According to MLB trade rumors, 2.70 earned run average over his last 8 starts, so that's pretty good, but he also gave up 6 unearned runs against the Dodgers on June 24th. Aaron Savali of the Chicago White Sox, Giants saw him. He'll be a free agent at the end of this season. That's an interesting name, as is Adrian Hauser, who absolutely dominated the San Francisco Giants earlier this season. Just a few weeks ago, he dominated the Giants at the rate in Chicago. So he's a name to watch. And then a few others that I just want to touch on real quick. Zach Littell could come back to San Francisco. He's been really good for the Tampa Bay Rays this season. Luis Severino, I don't think the Giants will be up for acquiring him, but after signing a 3-year, $67 million contract with the Athletics, it seems as though he might want out of the A's organization. Let's go to Ted in Oregon. Ted in Oregon, you're on the line. Ted, how are you this afternoon?
I'm great, Kerry. How are you?
Doing well on our end. Great to hear your voice. What's on your mind?
Well, the Giants do need a couple things. They need another left-handed bullpen arm, that's for sure. And I'm not sure which one it is, but I just heard you say about Herman Marquez, and I kind of think that guy's pretty good.
Okay. Tell me the rationale there. What do you like about Marquez?
Well, I don't think it's going to cost them a whole bunch of money, and I think that the Giants need some insurance for Birdsong and Rube.
Yeah. Well, you're right about that. It wouldn't cost them a lot of money because he's been awful for much of the last few seasons. He gave up 6 runs in his last outing against the White Sox, 11 hits. I just don't see a lot of swing and miss stuff with Marquez. And that was his ERA was up over 7 as of June 7th. He's brought that down to 5.84 with a few good outings, but I think he's a little bit more like a 5th starter, 6th starter than someone who would be in the mix and really help you with a playoff push.
So who would you think for like number 5 starter for the Giants?
I mean, I think that Aaron Savali, who the Giants saw in Chicago against the White Sox, he'd be a candidate. He's already been traded once this season. He was out of the Brewers rotation. He asked out, and, he's someone who I think could be a valuable veteran number 5. I would kind of prefer that this team goes after more of a true number 3 to back up Webb and Ray in their rotation. So who that could be, I think Zach Littell's a fit if Buster Posey liked working with him back during the 2021 season. He was a reliever at that time and then has gone on to success or a successful career and transition to the rotation with the Tampa Bay Rays. But I don't see the Rays trading Zach Littell at this juncture because they're that good. So I think that's where the Giants are kind of in trouble is I think they need a true number 3, and I just don't know how many of those guys are out there,
And I just want to tell you one thing, Kerry. You do a really, really good job on CanBR. I'm 69 years old. I've listened to CanBR since I was 13. You are really, really good.
Well, I really appreciate that. Thank you so much, Ted. Appreciate your call. Appreciate the kind words, and would love to hear from anyone else. Even if you don't think I do a good job, you're more than welcome to call in. 415-808-CANBR is the number. Who would you like to see the Giants acquire in a trade? A few other names that have popped up on this MLB trade rumors list of the top 40 players who could be dealt at this year's deadline. Edward Cabrera of the Miami Marlins, who shut the Giants down a couple of times this season. He's under team control for the next few years. So the Giants would have to give up some valuable prospects. I mean, you're probably talking Carson Whisenhunt at least, plus a few other guys. But to me, Cabrera's an arm with a live fastball and good breaking stuff. And you have him for the next 3 seasons. There's no guarantee that a Whisenhunt becomes a solid major league starter. There's no guarantee he's anything more than even a reliever because his best 2 pitches are fastball change. You're looking at potentially just a left-handed reliever. But I think Cabrera could be someone who would fit the Giants. And then there's Zach Gallen of the Arizona Diamondbacks. We almost certainly will not see an interdivision trade between the Giants and the Diamondbacks. But the D-backs are one of those interesting teams that don't seem to mind who they do business with. They just focus on doing the best possible business for themselves. So, like the Giants and the Dodgers, never going to trade with each other. Yankees and the Mets, never going to trade with each other. There's these historic rivals that just won't do it because you risk looking really bad in front of your fan base. The Diamondbacks are the type of team that I could see trading within their own division. I don't think it's realistic if you're a Giants fan to pine for Merrill Kelly or Zach Gallen at this year's deadline, but I do think that they are the type of team that operates on a strict budget and feels if the Giants offered the best possible deal, that they wouldn't take no for an answer. That they wouldn't just say, okay, because we're in the same division, we can't do that type of a trade. I think the Diamondbacks and the Rockies operate out of that kind of what they call fiscal responsibility, and I call kind of cheap nature, that they might be able to do a deal with the team inside the division. Remember, 2012, the Giants got Marco Scutaro from the Colorado Rockies. Interdivision trade, one of the most impactful trade deadline acquisitions of the Giants in the last quarter century. They got from a team in their own division. Giants gave up Charlie Culberson to get him. So just a thought there. Edward Cabrera, of course, the Miami Marlins might be more realistic, although you're giving up better prospects. And then one of the names that Marty brought up earlier this afternoon was Charlie Morton of the Baltimore Orioles, who's owed $15 million this season. So the acquiring team would be on the hook for about $6.5 million, closer to $7 maybe if you trade for him with a week to go before the trade deadline. 41 years old, and the Giants have, of course, seen 42-year-old Justin Verlander struggle this year, to say the least, 0 for 14 in terms of trying to pick up a win. But Morton was awful in the month of April, and since then, He's been really good since coming back from the rotation on May 26th. 2.90 earned run average with a 27% strikeout rate, according to MLB Trade Rumors, over his last 6 starts. So he's someone who, you could look at and say, is this guy worth bringing into our rotation? He's got playoff experience. He's pitched in August and September. You don't have to worry about him reaching an innings threshold like you do with Landon Roop or Hayden Birdsong. So he's someone who I think you call the Baltimore Orioles up and maybe not have to give up, say, a Carson Whisenhunt or a super promising young starter. I'm Kerry Crowley. The show is Giants Warmup. When we come back, we will give you our lineups for tonight's ball game, and we'll look around at scores from around Major League Baseball one more time. You're listening to Giants Warmup, KMBR 104.5, 680, the sports leader.
Giants Warm-Up on the Sports Leader.
2-2 pitch. Soderstrom bounces it to second. Wisely flipped to second one. Adames to first. Got him, double play. Webb gets a ground ball just in time.
Can the Giants build upon the momentum that Logan Webb gave them on Saturday evening? That's the question entering Sunday's rubber match in West Sacramento. It's the Giants and the A's coming your way, 7:05 p.m. Pacific time. Hayden Birdsong going for the Giants, coming off a very rough outing. There were questions as to whether he would even make his next start, but Bob Melvin sticking with him. A week to go before the All-Star break. Speaking of Bob Melvin, here's the lineup that he's put out for your San Francisco Giants. First pitch coming your way a little over an hour from now. Elliot Ramos leading things off after the big home run in last night's game. He's got 14 this season. He's playing left field tonight for the Giants. 47 runs batted in, 5 stolen bases, a 274 average, and an 806 OPS for Ramos. Big trade acquisition. Rafael Devers in the 2 spot tonight, the designated hitter. 17 home runs, 67 runs driven in, 1 stolen base, 262 average, and 865 OPS for Devers. The struggling Wilmer Flores gets the call at the first base spot tonight. Hitting third for the Giants, 11 homers, 55 batted in. OPS has dipped down to 692 on the season. Remember, there's a point where he was the Giants' team MVP. Matt Chapman back for day 2 of action, coming off the injured list. He's at the hot corner yet again, 12 homers, 30 runs batted in, 7 stolen bases for Chapman, a 245 average, and an 816 OPS on base. A couple of times in last night's ball game, scored a few runs for San Francisco. Willie Adames, who had the big stick last night for the Giants, he's hitting 5th tonight. The shortstop, 10 homers, 42 runs driven in, 4 stolen bases, a 225 average, and a 672 OPS. Jung-Hoo Lee gets the day off against the left-hander Lopez. So it's Luis Matos out in center field, a ballpark he's historically had a lot of success at as a Sacramento River Cat, now trying to do so for the San Francisco Giants. 4 homers from Matos, most of those coming off of left-handed pitchers, including a towering shot at the beginning of the season off of Framber Valdez of the Houston Astros. 7 runs batted in, a 175 average for Matos this year. The left-hander Mike Yastrzemski down in the 7th slot tonight. 8 homers, 28 driven in for Yastrzemski, 6 stolen bases on the season. Tyler Fitzgerald over at second base tonight. He's really trying to get his season on track before Casey Schmidt comes back from the injured list. Schmidt, in all likelihood, will be the everyday second baseman. At least the Giants will give him the opportunity to win that job when he's off of the IL. 2 home runs, 12 runs driven in, 9 stolen bases for Fitzgerald. Could turn into a super utility guy for this team. 227 average for Fitzgerald. And then Andrew Kisner, the catcher tonight for the San Francisco Giants. 1 homer at Cayman Dodger Stadium, 1 run batted in. He obviously knocked in himself, a 147 average and a 406 OPS for Kisner, who's struggling at the plate, but providing the Giants some valuable defense when he replaces Patrick Bailey. Here's how Mark Kotze will set things up for the Athletics. It's the powerful and speedy Lawrence Butler out in right field tonight, leading things off. 11 homers, 14 stolen bases for Butler, who's brought that OPS up to 759, far higher last time the Giants saw the A's back in May at Oracle Park. Jacob Wilson, the all-star shortstop for the Athletics, just having a tremendous rookie season, running away with the Rookie of the Year award. 9 homers, 42 runs batted in. Wilson hitting .333 with a team-high .842 OPS. Another all-star, Brent Rooker in the 3 spot in the order, Mississippi State product. 18 homers, 48 runs batted in for the DH. The rookie Nick Kurtz, the cleanup man for the Athletics. 13 home runs, 35 driven in for the A's first baseman. Shea Langeliers, the veteran catcher, will hit in the 5th spot in the order. 12 homers, 31 batted in, a 764 OPS for Langeliers. Former catcher Tyler Soderstrom out in left field this evening for the Athletics was taken out of high school, Turlock High, I believe, back in 2020 in the first round by the A's, but he quickly turned into a first baseman, outfield type, and with the emergence of Kurtz, he's moved full-time to the outfield for the Athletics. 14 homers this season, vast majority coming in the month of April. 755 OPS for Soderstrom. Max Muncy, yes, a different Max Muncy the Giants must contend with. He's over at third base tonight for the Athletics. 7 homers, 20 runs batted in, 221 average, and a 662 OPS for the former top 10 draft pick of the A's. Zach Geloff at second base this evening. He's got 1 run driven in on the young season for him as he just came off the IL. And then Denzel Clark, the speedy, rangy outfielder, out in center field. 3 homers, including a mammoth shot on Friday evening. 8 runs batted in, 5 stolen bases for Clark, who maybe plays the best center field in all of Major League Baseball. So, with the lineups out of the way, we're going to take you for a spin around Major League Baseball with scores from around the league right now. Bottom of the 4th inning at Wrigley Field, where the Cubs and the Cardinals got off to a late start because of the rain delay, and the Cardinals really didn't need to bother showing up. They're down 9-0 in that ball game. Eric Fetty couldn't complete 2 innings. Cardinals have 3 hits. Cubs 9 runs at this point. Rangers and the Padres will start up here in about 15 minutes. Jack Leiter on the hill for Bruce Bochy's Texas Rangers, trying to take a game there in San Diego. Padres at 47 and 41, 11 over .500 at home this year. Orioles won 2-1 today on the power of Jackson Holliday's 2-0 two-run home run over the Atlanta Braves. Trevor Rogers, former Marlins left-hander, gets the win in that ballgame. Sir Anthony Dominguez saved number 2 out of that Baltimore bullpen, which, by the way, Orioles at 40 and 49. I like a number of guys out of that Baltimore bullpen. If Buster Posey's going to go shopping at this year's deadline. Red Sox won 6-4 today over the Washington Nationals. Garrett Crochet gets the win. Jordan Hicks, yes, that Jordan Hicks, saved number 1. Meanwhile, the loss so egregious for the Nationals that they just decided to fire Mike Rizzo, their general manager, and their field manager, Davey Martinez. So the architects of that 2019 World Series team 6 years later, they're gone and out of a job. And it's remarkable to me because the Nationals just won that Juan Soto trade in lopsided fashion. They got Mackenzie Gore, all-star starter. They got James Wood, power-hitting outfielder, cleanup man for the future, at least top-of-the-order guy for the future. They got their starting shortstop at C.J. Abrams. They even got a top prospect in Robert Hassel, and they just have not done anything else in the roster for the last 3 years. It's been really just a shame that the Nationals haven't been able to put anything together. Meanwhile, in the NL East, the Phillies won today 3-1, so they'll come to San Francisco on the heels of a win for Zach Wheeler, who improves to 9-3, 2.17 earned run average. They took down the Cincinnati Reds, who are now 46 and 44, fading a little bit from that NL wildcard race. We'll see how long the Reds can hang around. I don't imagine they'll be a buyer, but I also don't imagine they'll be a seller this year. Toronto Blue Jays won in dramatic fashion today, 3-2 over the Angels. The Blue Jays first place in the American League East, 14 over 500. They're on a roll. Addison Barger made a diving stop at third base to wrap up that ball game, robbing an Angels hitter. Final in 10 innings where the Tigers popped off in extra frames. They won 7-2 over the Cleveland Guardians. Tarek Skubal turned in a nice start. The Tigers 57 and 34, 23 over 500. Milwaukee Brewers picked up a big win today, 3-1 over the Miami Marlins. And the reason it was such a big win, Brandon Woodruff comes off the injured list and throws 6 innings of great baseball. Woodruff has been dealing with significant shoulder issues. There are questions as to whether he would continue his major league career, questions as to what team that would be for. Turns out he does so for the team that he's always pitched for, the Milwaukee Brewers. Great story. 50 and 40 now on the season. The Brewers, second place in the NL wildcard race behind the New York Mets, who lost 6-4 today. Aaron Judge hit home run number 33 for the Yankees in the Subway Series. Max Fried picks up win number 11. He's 11-2 with a 2.27 ERA. Zach Pop, reliever, blown up in the loss for the Mets. Devin Williams, save number 12 for the Bronx Bombers. The Rays won 7-5 in 10 innings today. Peter Fairbanks, their closer, gets win number 4 of the season, 2.34 earned run average. They take it over the Minnesota Twins, who fall to 43 and 47 in a game I'm sure you watched closely this afternoon. The Rockies won 6-4 of the Chicago White Sox. Agnos the win, Smith the loss. Halverson save number 8 for Colorado, which picks up victory number 21 on the season. They're 10 and 36 at Coors Field this year, where the Giants still have one more visit to make. The Diamondbacks lost 4-0 to the Kansas City Royals. Michael Lorenzen shuts them out. Anthony DeSclafani, the losing pitcher for Arizona. Yes, he's resurfaced with the Diamondbacks, who are now 2 under 500. Will they trade at the deadline? I think that's an open question for everyone at the moment. The Mariners won 1-0 over the Pittsburgh Pirates today. Paul Skeens, 5 innings, no runs allowed, 10 strikeouts. He was masterful. O'Neal Cruz threw out a guy at the plate with one of the best throws you will ever see from center field. And yet, nothing to show for the Pittsburgh Pirates, who lose 1-0. Andres Munoz saved number 21 of the season. And the Houston Astros won 5-1 over the Los Angeles Dodgers. We're still 21 games over 500. The Astros, meanwhile, 20 over 500 with their quick work in Los Angeles this weekend. We do encourage you to stay tuned. Post-game tonight, Bill Lasky will have his 3rd extra innings of the weekend. He's got a great interview lined up for this evening. Bobby Crosby, who's an athletics first base coach, manager in that farm system for years. And, of course, we remember him as a great shortstop for the Oakland Athletics. He will be joining Bill later on this evening. Always stick around and always do feel free to dial into Bill's show. 415-808-KMBR is the number. Love the calls, especially as you get to the month of July and start talking trades. It's always fun. It's always entertaining. On the other side, we've got our full Giants pregame for you. We've got all the bells and whistles coming your way. Manager Show with Bob Melvin, award-winning Diamond Notes with yours truly. Can't wait for it. This date in Giants history coming your way very shortly here. I am Kerry Crowley. The show you are listening to is Giants Warmup. The airwaves you're tuned into, KBR 104.5.